industrial action. The protest is due to begin at 7 o'clock this morning, as Iain Duncan reports.
Unison Unite and the Royal College of Midwives are among the health unions on strike today. Their dispute is with the government over pay. NHS workers took strike action for the first time in 32 years last month. More unions are involved in today's protest, which Unison says won't affect critical areas such as accident and emergency departments.
The family of a 3-year-old girl who was run over and killed in Luton are raising money for an independent survey of Dunstable Road. Maya Shazad died after being hit by a bus in the Berry Park area of the town last August. The family's solicitor, Atiq Malik, explained why the survey is important.
So the real way to really make sure that for the sake of the wider community that there are no issues is to get an independent person who's not at all linked to the council in any way, has no relationship with them and no reason to side with them, to give an independent report on what are the danger points, what are the safe points, are there any issues and how can they be addressed if there are any.
2 of the UK's leading supermarkets are to change the way they display newspapers because of fears about children being exposed to sexual content. Tesco said its in-store news cubes would be redesigned so that only the newspaper mastheads can be seen, while Waitrose has announced it will change its displays to remove some front pages from children's lines of vision. It follows months of campaigning by campaign groups, including Child Eyes, and one of its co-founders, Cathy McGuinness.
I first thought it was a problem when I was in a queue just queuing up to buy groceries, and my older son, who was 4 then, was looking at a vertically displayed newspaper front cover with an upskirt shot of a woman, and I just thought, this is really wrong when you sort of see it through a child's eyes.
In sport, Lewis Hamilton hailed the greatest day of his life after winning the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to secure a second Formula One world title. The Mercedes man finished the season 67 points clear of his title rival and teammate Nico Rosberg in what he admitted had been a campaign of highs and lows. And the weather forecast: frosty to start, dry and sunny later, with maximum temperatures today of 8 Celsius, 46 in Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Thanks for turning up.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
From 9.
The JVS Show.
With the big phone in, the hottest topic of the day, and your consumer problems. From 12.
Nick Coffer.
Colourful local guests with great stories to tell and fantastic music for your afternoon.
From 3.
Roberto Perroni.
I'm here with a roundup of the day's news, the latest travel and your stories.
From 6.
Three Counties Sport.
With a look back at the weekend's action and taking a look at the grassroots sport across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
You just done? What have you just done? What? Morning, guys. Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Today we will be naming and shaming the MPs involved in the... Oh, hang on a second. No, we won't. Instead, fancy a little bit of terrorist spotting? NHS are striking and newspaper hiding in an item that's being labelled as kids' eyes. 08459 455 555.
Across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
What?
What's that that's just popped into an order?
Oh, at last, it's the song that I've asked for. We can skip the Michael Jackson song. We can go...
On.
What?
I put that in to show you who's really boss.
Well...
And then it turns out it's Kath.
Well, it turns out it's me. I asked for this song.
Hang on.
I'll take it out then if you're the boss. Then you can find it.
Well, you can find that. And Kelly, could you find that, please? And I know an excellent place to hide them both. Thank you. Yeah.
Turn the mic off.
No.
It's bad enough we can hear that.
Morning! Who's awake now, guys, huh? That's how to start a radio show. AC/DC coming live into the studio later on. They're not, but that would teach you a lesson if they were. Now, on to the news, I suppose. Counter-terror police have launched a new campaign this morning to encourage the great British public, the good guys, to be their eyes and ears to look out for the bad guys. They want businesses, shopkeepers to keep an eye out for... terrorists. Nice idea. Except, I don't know what a terrorist looks like, and won't this kind of ramp up the air of suspicion that we live in? Our reporter, Matt Lockwood, who's quite a paranoid gentleman at the best of times, has been speaking to people in Aylesbury.
So what do you think a terrorist looks like, then?
Terrorist? Well, based on modern trends, I would say looks a bit ethnic, probably got a beard. They're not stupid, so I should imagine they would actually try and integrate and make it look like they're a regular guy, so they wouldn't arouse suspicions.
What do you think a terrorist looks like? What would be the profile? Would they be tall or short?
I would say in between. You can't really tell, can you, nowadays?
Would they have a beard?
Not necessarily.
How would they speak?
Well, if they're homegrown, they might not necessarily have an accent, would they?
What do you think a terrorist looks like, then?
I mean, I wouldn't say a race of some sort, not like that, because it's all changing. Well, yeah, I mean, I always get suspicious if someone, I don't know, someone's looking shifty and they've got a rucksack or...
Yeah. Like people loitering around a shopping mall with a rucksack and he's not doing any shopping, and then that's what I call suspicious.
At the end of the day, it could be a woman, it could be a man, it could be me, it could be my friend.
You don't know.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
People, they say, oh, it's a Muslim, it's this, it's that,
Islamic.
but it's not.
It could be anyone.
It could be a white person, it could be a black person.
They don't exactly advertise their stuff, do they, with billboards or anything? So how could the police expect us to be more vigilant?
See, campaigning against it is just...
This is going to stir trouble up even more. Like they keep bringing up about that bomber. They're saying she's dead. Well, why say it if they haven't got actual proof? It's just stirring more trouble up. I just think they should leave it. That's going to do nothing, only stir more trouble. That's my opinion. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah,
really.
And I totally agree with that.
And not all Islamics are the same. You can't tar everyone with earth feathers. Because they think there's one, they treat them all like it. And this is just going to stir up more trouble.
And that's how they miss people, because they're looking for a certain type, and they're wrong. They are barking up the wrong tree, because, as I say, it could be anybody. And, they expect it to be a Muslim, but no, I disagree with that.
Best Vox ever? Best Vox ever?
I think we should send that to Creature Comforts.
I know we have lots of talented people listening. If anybody wants to animate those two women more than they've been animated already, please do. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put that whole package in the podcast. Can we get the last sort of 45 seconds where it's just those two women as well? Just those two, and we'll play that out later on, because that is brilliant, isn't it? Where did Matt find those from? Justin Dealey's got... Dealey's got competition, because that was awesome. Thank you, Matt. We'll have a bit more of that later on. 08459 455 555. It does beg the question, though, what does a terrorist look like? Could
Someone not doing his shopping but having a backpack.
If they got a backpack and they stood in a shopping centre and not doing their shopping, then, I would suggest that you have to report those people. They might probably got a beard.
They might not, though.
Might not, though. You're right, Kels.
You described me up until the beard.
Well...
And then you started to describe Cam.
I mean, as she said... it could be a man or a woman. Could be that lady there.
Yeah, it could be.
Could be herself.
Well, is she hiding in plain sight? Is she an Islamist terrorist, or any other kind of terrorist? Or those are the ones that are very popular at the moment. Currently, they're number one in the top 10 of terrorism. Kels, we'll put that whole thing in the podcast. Can we get the last minute where it's just those two ladies talking, please? And we'll play that out a bit later on as well.
Yeah, you can tell me off air if you like. Or
You've
just
told
do it
me
on
about
air.
3 times on air,
Or
so...
just do it on air.
OK, I can tell you off air if you want.
Just the two women?
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
45 seconds.
08459 455 555. Well, our tongues are slightly in our cheeks. Partly because I think the relevant authorities didn't want to come on the show this morning and talk about this odd campaign. We should all be, just keeping an eye out for dodge pots anyway, shouldn't we? Shouldn't we? That's kind of our civic duty, not just terror. Everybody should kind of have a little eye open. But what do you think about this? Is it nonsense? Is it going to work? What does a terrorist look like?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning. Thankfully, most of the major routes are on the move all right. It's a very chilly start. M1 and M25, though, thankfully looking pretty good. The A414 looks rather busy on the approach junction 8 of the M1. And there's a problem with flooding affecting trains. London Overground services are suspended between Watford Junction and Euston. The Bakerloo line suspended between Queen's Park and Harrow and Wealdstone. And Chesham Station on the Metropolitan line's closed because of a signal failure. Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Russell. The headlines this morning on BBC Three Counties Radio. All this week, counter-terrorism bosses are appealing for the public's help to combat extremism. And Thames Valley Police are launching a weapons amnesty this morning. It's cold, isn't it?
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Dave from Luton. Good morning to you, David. So lovely to hear your dulcet, slightly thick tones. What have you got for us this morning?
Good morning, boss. Very nice introduction. Thank you very much.
You get a very nice introduction because you are a very nice deviant, David.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome.
Cool, you're bright and sparky.
Bright and sparky. I'm full of spunk, David.
Oh, really?
Yes, you see, I've had a fantastic weekend, and I've come back to work full of the joys of life.
Right, do me a favour.
Yes, David, anything you want.
Anything, you know, I don't know if you can do it, but this morning about 5:30, I got up and I come outside in the back garden.
What, for a wee-wee?
No.
There's nothing like having a wee in the garden first thing in the morning, is there?
Well, I don't know. I've never tried it.
I weed. For those people, no, hang on, David. For those people struggling with frosty windscreens this morning, forget your de-icer spray, forget your scrapers.
Yes,
you know this. Catherine taught me this trick. Do a wee-wee on the window.
I did not teach you that trick.
You taught me that trick. The warm wee-wee will
crack your windscreen.
No, well, cracks are involved. It will melt the frost and allow you to drive away. Yes, you will have a stinky car.
Oh, yes,
a lot. Dave, I went in Ian's car last week. There was a strange aroma. I think I know what it might have been.
Oh, yeah. I could well have imagined that, Kath.
Try and describe the smell, David.
Well, I don't know.
Try and describe a smell. Go on. And it hard.
Well, you can't describe a smell,
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Can you?
Yeah, of course you can. Kenya? What does Kenya smell like?
Yeah, Kenya. Yeah. Kenya.
Kanye West? What does he smell like?
No, I call on the radio because
Kanye West. Oh, so put it in a bottle and sell it, Kanye West.
Smells of money.
Here we go.
Put it in a bottle and sell it, Kanye West.
Yeah.
Put it in a bottle and sell it. Everybody wanna smell it. Put it in a bottle and sell it, Kanye West. That's the song for his advert for his own aftershave. It's good, isn't it? It's a good song. Even I didn't know where that was going. It made me chuckle. It made me chuckle, David. Well, David, thank you so much for calling.
No, hang on.
iPlayer the taxi journey when the weather chat has dried up after 5 minutes. iPlayer your other half's really bad taste in TV. iPlayer the first chance you've had to sit down since that customer. An iPlayer ending up in the wrong queue at the supermarket every single time. BBC iPlayer. BBC Radio and TV, always there when you need it.
It's the falling in love that's making me high. It's the being in love that makes me cry, cry. We're falling in love, got me falling in
Hell is this?
But that don't mean that I don't know where we are. And though I find myself attracted to you, this time I'm trying not to go too far. 'Cause no matter how we start, it ends the same. Someone's always doing someone more, trading in the passion for that taste of pain. It's only gonna happen again.
Any bowl a pound. Fresh fruit, come and get it. Any bowl a pound.
Yeah, man, respect, boss, yeah?
I don't want people making love while I'm talking.
I've got a real passion for donkeys.
Morning, guys. 08459 455 555. What is going on today? I think... am I right in thinking that the government finally legalised LSD? And because that's... I'm sure there's something in my coffee this morning. Now, on to more serious issues, please, Catherine, if you could focus. And... focus.
Scene.
Tesco is changing its newspaper displays in a bid to protect children's innocence. Adult magazines are already in modesty wrappers. If only some of the women who appeared in those magazines were. But now, the Hertfordshire-based chain, Local and Vocal, is going to make sure that only the titles of newspapers can be seen. Waitrose is also moving them out of the line of sight of children. Isn't that right, Catherine?
Yes.
Why is Tesco doing this, then?
Follows months of campaigning by groups like Child Eyes and No More Page 3. The second bit is quite self-explanatory. Child's Eyes, they're trying to protect. Child Eyes say that everyday children are confronted with sexual images. On its website, it says shop windows and displays surround children with a wallpaper of sex sells media. The Sun, Daily Star and Sport regularly feature front pages showing semi-naked women in provocative poses. And awful knickers, usually. Child's Eyes, that's my own addition. Child's Eyes think that's harming children. And that's why they've been campaigning for this change. Here's what Kathy McGuinness from the group has to say.
I first thought it was a problem when I was in a queue, just queuing up to buy groceries. And my older son, who was 4 then, was looking at a vertically displayed newspaper front cover with an upskirt shot of a woman. And I just thought, this is really wrong when you sort of see it through a child's eyes.
What else have these do-gooders done?
They're not do-gooders, they're right-minded people. Previously, Child's Eyes has persuaded French Connection to take posters of young topless models out of their windows. They got a retailer to stop displaying pornographic T-shirts.
What?
And made the Co-op stop displaying lads' mags prominently.
That's a good Scooby impression. But there's an element of censorship, isn't there, about what Child Eyes is doing?
Well, what you've said there is what the critics are saying.
I know. I'm criticising them.
They believe it will create more anxiety and fear for children around sex. And where do you draw the line? Do you start censoring billboards of women in provocative poses trying to flog us perfume, for example? Child's Eye says its campaign's not about censorship, though. The group argues that people can still buy any of the newspapers on display. And the Conservative MP, Richard Bacon...
Not that one.
Different... hopes others will follow the supermarket's lead.
This is not about restrictions on press freedom. It's absolutely not. And it's certainly not about preventing people buying the sort of material that they might want to buy. What it is about is children and protecting children from overt sexual imagery in a family-friendly environment. And it's very hard to see how a local newspaper vendor in a local village shop and a newsagent is going to change unless they see the big stores changing as well.
What has local firm Tesco had to say about this?
Well, they might be local, but they're not very vocal, I'm afraid. They've declined our invitation for an interview, but in a statement they say they are a family retailer and it's important that they do everything they can to promote the right environment in store. The change we're making will strike the right balance for everyone.
Now, the thing is, when will these changes be made by Tesco? When will it be safe for me to take my children into a Tesco supermarket?
Well, the company hopes that it will be safe for you to take your children into their stores because of the new newspaper display units by February 2015, so not long if you could just shop online for now.
Yeah.
The government issued guidelines in 2012 that newspapers with sexualised covers should not be displayed where children can see them, following the Bailey Review.
The Danny Bailey Review, yeah.
This review found that exposure to sexualised and sexist imagery is damaging children's self-esteem and relationships.
My tongue is in my cheek here because you've brought an air of, dismissive playfulness with you this morning, Catherine, and thank you for that. But as a father of young boys, I wholly support this.
So do I, but I also think we shouldn't remove every element of... the world,
Yes, we should.
No, because I think that a lot of your job as a parent is explaining stuff to your children.
I don't want to explain the front page of the Daily Sport, or the front page of the Sun sometimes, or the front page of Razzle.
Well, I mean, hopefully they're not tall enough to see that, but
they can look up. I don't know if you noticed, children's heads, they don't just move left to right; they also move up.
But they're generally covered now, aren't they?
No, not where I go and buy the milk and coffee for this show in the morning. It's a wonderful little newsagent, but everything is on display.
But maybe you should rethink your retail habits.
Well, where else am I going to get my Mucky Mags from? Now, earlier on, you said that Kiss were a joke band.
They are a bit, aren't they?
What?
Yeah, they're a bit like Black Lace.
Sorry?
Rocking.
Whoa! Can I introduce you to Strutter by the rock group Kiss?
No, if you must.
Who's the joke band now, huh?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, it's a chilly start. Thankfully, I'm not aware of any accidents, no major delays on the roads and the trains, though there's some flooding at Harlesden that's left the London Overground service suspended between Watford Junction and Euston, and the Bakerloo line suspended between Queen's Park and Harrow and Wealdstone. Plus, on the Metropolitan line, Chesham Station closed because of a signal failure. Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, cards and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30 with the headlines. I'm Barry Caffrey. Counter-terrorism bosses are appealing for the public's help to combat extremism. They're raising awareness this week through a series of events. Thames Valley Police have launched a weapons amnesty this morning. People can hand in illegally held guns and ammunition without facing prosecution. And more than 400,000 health workers are going on strike this morning in a second round of industrial action in a dispute over pay. The protest is due to begin at 7 o'clock. And the weather frosty to start, dry and sunny later with a maximum temperature of 8 degrees Celsius.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hertfordshire's Lewis Hamilton hailed the greatest day of his life after winning the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to secure a second Formula One title. The Mercedes man finished the season 67 points clear of his title rival and teammate Nico Rosberg in what he admitted had been a campaign of highs and lows.
I think Spa was even lower than Silverstone, but it had a different kind of impact on me. You know, when you make the mistake, it's a painful feeling in a different way. Obviously, when it's not your fault and you lose out, then it's painful because it's not, you feel helpless. You know, you're kind of kicking yourself when you make the mistake. And obviously in Silverstone, that's what I was doing. I went home and came back the next day. The support was phenomenal.
The Liverpool manager Brendan Rodgers has accepted responsibility after a 3-1 defeat away at Crystal Palace. Liverpool are now 18 points behind Premier League leaders Chelsea. Rodgers admits his side are lacking experience but refused to blame them.
Players finding their feet here playing for Liverpool and then maybe not getting the results. To give you that confidence, especially if you have a new player coming in, then it can be difficult. But as I said, it's my responsibility, you know, to put a team out that can win, and at the minute I'm not doing that.
Elsewhere, Tottenham have moved into the top half of the table after they came from behind to beat 10-man Hull 2-1. The former Arsenal striker Iain Wright says it's getting to that time when Arsene Wenger should think about leaving the club. Meanwhile, Saturday's defeat to Manchester United left Arsenal 15 points behind off-leaders Chelsea. And there is one game in the Premier League this evening as Aston Villa host second-placed Southampton. Watford lost for the third match in a row in the Championship, going down 2-1 to league leaders Derby. MK Dons are up to fourth in League One as they beat Port Vale. Wickham moved back to the top of League Two above Luton as the Chairboys beat Cheltenham. The Hatters lost at Burton. And Stevenage boss Graham Westley was unhappy with some of his fans as they lost 1-0 at Northampton on Saturday. Westley was frustrated with how some of the away supporters reacted.
There were a couple of guys who were being very rude, insulting them. I've got family who sit there and, you know, they're being very rude, obscene and talking to me in a disgusting way. So I went across to them to remind them that they need to be respectful, and I hope the people responsible are made to pay for it.
And in rugby union, Bedford were beaten by Cornish Pirates in the Championship yesterday by 65 points to 14. BBC Three Counties Radio News and Sport. I'll be back with a full bulletin at 7 o'clock.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Line one.
Terrorists, ginger with a beard.
They don't exactly advertise their stuff, do they, with billboards or anything? So how could the police expect us to be more vigilant?
See, campaigning against it is just...
This is going to stir trouble up even more. You know, like they keep bringing up about that bomber. They're saying she's dead. Well, why say it if they haven't got actual proof? It's just stirring more trouble up. And I just think they should leave it. That's going to do nothing, only stir more trouble. That's my opinion. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that.
And not all Islamics are the same. You can't tar everyone with earth feathers. Because they think there's one, they treat them all like it. And this is just going to stir up more trouble.
And that's how they miss people, because they're looking for a certain type, and they're wrong. They are barking up the wrong tree, because, as I say, it could be anybody. And, you know, they expect it to be a Muslim, but no, I disagree with that.
off a ride. Oh, yeah. It's electric, so frightfully hectic. And the man's heart is leaving. The girl's not breathing. Oh, yeah. And the man in the back said, everyone attack, and I turned it to a ballroom dance. And the girl in the corner said, boy, I want to warn you, and I turned it to a ballroom dance. Ballroom dance. Ballroom dance.
And breathe. Morning.
That chick can wail.
Hey, Tia Carrera. It's rock morning, we've decided.
Yeah, apart from the Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Which was a blip.
How women with sexy voice really are sexy, says Ben Endley. B. Endley. Those sultry female tones breathed down the line by a mysterious stranger have kindled the hint of passion in many a hot-blooded male. That's the opening line to a news story.
He sounds like he has prior experience.
But hang on a minute. Is she as good-looking in the flesh as her sexy voice would have you think? No, you have a mathematical formula for this, don't you,
Well,
Catherine?
not me. My copper mate says, nice on the phone, add a stone.
Only one. Scientists believe they have found evidence to prove women... Scientists.
Which scientists?
The evil ones.
Pervologists.
It's good. Scientists believe they have found evidence to prove women with sexy voices really are more likely to have attractive facial qualities such as higher cheekbones, softer jawlines and fuller lips. I can tell you now that that is completely and utterly nonsensical. We all know if this person is hot on the phone, man or woman, they are going to be, unless it's me, they're going to be a chuffer in real life. They're going to be hideous, aren't they? We've all made that mistake where you kind of strike up a relationship with someone on the telephone, then you go to that place of work to, I don't know, deliver a package, and you see a really ugly person and you go, yeah, I'm looking for Denise, who's been answering the phones. Yes, that's me.
Oh, dear. I was once called to an interview with a radio station boss just because he wanted to see what he looked like.
Oh, what?
And he thought I was going to be massive and blonde.
You got one of them right. Hey! Hey! Steady on, fellas. 08459 455 555. By the way, what's in your newspaper?
Little Delaney Templeton is in my newspaper. He's from Sunderland.
Yeah. Oh, I just crushed a plum. Yes.
Oh, dear. He was looking forward to his first school photograph. No, he wasn't. Kids hate those.
No.
But the 3-year-old was banned from the lineup with his classmates. Why? Because his hair was deemed too short. He's got one of those kind of shaved all the way around the sides and long on top, kind of wartime haircuts that are all in at the moment. When his mother, Julianne Yates...
100 years, isn't it, since that haircut was invented? That's what we've been commemorating, isn't it?
Yeah. When his mother, Julianne Yates, 28, questioned the headmistress, she said his short comb-over style broke school rules on extreme haircuts. I was furious, said Julianne from Sunderland. He's had the same hairstyle since he started nursery in September, and the schools never said it was inappropriate. Shall I carry on?
No. There's been several of these stories recently, and then in the pictures they always look all right, but that's because I think they've allowed the hair to grow out a little bit.
I think a bit. Look, if you've got to be using the clippers... You know it's an extreme hairstyle. Steering from the clippers.
Have you finished?
I quite like saying clippers.
Clippers. Stevie from the X Factor has been booted out. Now, I don't watch X Factor.
Which is Stevie? Because I don't know.
Well, if
is
you
he
don't,
the one with the eyes?
He's the one. If you don't, do you watch X Factor, Kels Bells?
No.
No, she don't.
I
well,
watched a tiny bit of it once.
It's silly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I've posed. I don't know who Stevie is, but I've tweeted a picture of me doing an impression of Stevie.
Is that him? The one with the eyes?
Yeah, that's the fella. He's out, and apparently there was a furore on the internet last night. I've tweeted at Iain Lee if you want to see my impression of Stevie. Bearing in mind, I've only ever seen one picture of the guy.
Don't let your children see it, and don't
No.
let them anywhere near the sellotape.
Don't play with sellotape. But the reason I'm looking at the picture of Stevie is because in this corner of the newspaper, men love DIY jobs. Do they?
Really? Because I end up doing
DYF? Do they flip?
That doesn't even make sense. It wouldn't be DYF.
Be
It'd be DTF.
But never mind. Let's gloss over.
Men got most pleasure from success at DIY, a study has found. Have they not? Hang on, what do they mean, like building DIY? A total of 36% said it was a great joy when a task works out.
Hang on, that's 36%. That's less than half.
Fixing an item came second in men's 40 most satisfying things in life. Shut up!
After what? Bubble wrap.
Women put a money find top.
A what?
Women put a money find top.
Sorry?
Women put a money find top.
Again?
I need the toilet. Women put a money find top.
What does that mean?
Women put a money find top.
They're just a load of words that you put together.
It's a sentence!
Do they mean finding money?
Women put a money find top. Then cooking something great.
Because I was thinking, I haven't got a money find top.
Mouldable.
Top and it's
got a lot of
money find.
So the top 10, men's top 10, right, in reverse order. These, I don't know what this is a top 10 of, though, of satisfying things. Right, number 10, getting an unexpected parcel. I got more points on my licence this weekend. I'm up to 9 now. What do I win? Number 10, getting an unexpected parcel.
You win a taxi.
Number 9, opening jars after others have failed. That's a good one. That is satisfying.
Yeah, but they've obviously loosened it.
Shut up. Waking up, number 8, waking up thinking it's a work day, but realising it's a weekend. This is good.
Work weekends.
Number 7, putting furniture together without help. I'm all right. Number 6, the 6th most satisfying thing for a man is popping bubble wrap.
And woman.
Popping woman?
Popping women.
Bubble wrap.
Number 5.
My kids call them pop-pops.
My kids call something else
else.
pop-pops. Are you me today?
I think so.
Either I'm you or you're me.
Gosh. Digital divs.
Number 5, cooking something great. Number 4, getting TV quiz answers right. Yeah, I love that. That's a good one.
Yeah, only if it's University Challenge, though.
Number 3, finding money. Number 2, fixing something. And number 1, man's top most satisfying thing is DIY working out.
Yeah. Is this sponsored by B&Q?
Women put a money find top.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'm just looking at the speed sensors, Ian. I can see the M1 looking slow southbound now at junction 10, the Luton Airport turn, and the A1M looking rather slow southbound in the Stevenage area. Train services also disrupted. This is because of flooding. So London Overground suspended between Watford Junction and Euston, and the Bakerloo line suspended between Queen's Park and Harrow and Wealdstone. We've got the Metropolitan line suspended too now because of a signal failure. That's suspended between Chalfont and Latimer and Chesham, with severe delays between Rickmansworth and Amersham, and Chesham Station currently closed on the Metropolitan line because of that signal failure. Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Russell. Big up yourself. In the privacy of your own home. 6:45. It is Monday, the 24th of November. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. All this week, counter-terrorism bosses are appealing for the public's help to combat extremism. And some health workers are going on strike this morning in a second round of industrial action in a dispute about pay. Let's get the weather. Here's Georgine.
Beds, hearts and bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello there. Well, a chilly start to today with some fog and frost patches around. But actually, it turns out to be quite a pleasant one with fairly autumnal weather. Quite bright, largely dry, temperatures reaching about 8 degrees Celsius. And tonight, we've got a clear start to the night. More of that fog and frost developing, probably more widespread than it was last night, with temperatures down to close to freezing. And tomorrow, a fairly cloudy day tomorrow, or much cloudier anyway. That fog may linger in the morning and cloud increases as we head through the day. Still some sunny spells around. It does look like it should stay dry during daylight hours, but we've got outbreaks of rain feeding in from the channel, probably seeing that after dark. Temperatures up to about 8 degrees Celsius tomorrow. Now, Wednesday we've got patchy rain. Well, Thursday, still some light rain and drizzle around, but it's looking drier for Friday, but becoming more breezy. That's your latest forecast.
Tomorrow night, Three Counties Sport is live from Stadium MK.
Fadzine flicks it on and it's gone in and it's Anthony Kay!
As MK Dons host Rochdale.
Now Dele Alli with the shot into the net!
Hear all the build-up.
Lee Hodgson's back on the bench today. He can play 10 minutes. Danny Green can play half an hour. He's back on the bench.
Full match commentary and all the reaction at the final whistle.
As a centre forward, you want to score goals, you want to be involved in. I've got 2 goals and 1 assist, so I'm double pleased.
Three Counties Sport, tomorrow night from 7 here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
One of them came up against me, I couldn't touch it, I was shocked.
How to get to where I'm going without a sound, with no one knowing. All I can see is this hole in the ground, somewhere to hide, but I wanna be found. And where can I stand now? All the eyes ice is melted. I fall behind, it's not as if you would remember. If I get back, I find something to lose. I know I'm lost and it's all I do, and you might be the first to know. I understand we're not on our own. You're by my side and you know I've got your cover. And I see a girl, she's the first to know how far my love will go. Still she pushes it on and on. So won't you come with me now the wait is over?
What was that rubbish you were playing?
It was a track of your long visit to the toilet.
I'm not a well man. I'm not a well man. Daly. I'm not a well man, Justin.
I wonder what was going on there. 2 in a row. Who are you, Heart? Today's better music mix?
No, we're not those losers. I say losers, they get significantly more listeners than we do, but still, they're losers.
Yeah, but have you seen their listeners? Have you seen them?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, exactly.
They're really ugly.
Yeah.
Whereas our listeners are beautiful. Aren't you, David?
Excuse me?
You're beautiful, aren't you?
What are you bringing me on for when you're talking about ugly?
No, we just...
No, we're talking about devastatingly handsome, Dave.
That's not very nice talking about Justin that way, is it?
Hey! He took ownership of the dealie!
Oh, leave it out, Dave. Have a shave.
I'm just going to have one, pal.
Good.
Right, what do you want?
No, can you phone me back up? What are you three... Well, even Justin, what are you four on?
BBC Three Counties Radio. Thanks for listening, Dave. What do you want?
I'm going to try and ring you up this morning about a bright star in the sky over the west that was all green and orange. It was flickering away. Hello?
Should we follow it?
Well,
it's that time of year.
It's getting bright now. You've missed it now, haven't you?
Can I just say, can I make one point here? Dave, you've got the cheek to say, what are we on, after what you've just said there?
Look, listen, Mr. Dealey, have a look outside.
I'm outside
now.
Can't.
I'm outside.
I'm looking into the sky. What are we looking for?
You can't see it now.
Oh.
Dave!
What now?
It could have been Uranus.
Yeah.
No, your Uranus is quite big.
Your Highness will be quite big in a minute.
Your Highness?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it might have been the 605 from Fuengirola.
Yeah, Dave, Dave, listen, give us a call again tomorrow, yeah? Okay, thank you. Sorry, Justin, no idea what was going on there.
Yeah.
It was Dave.
It was Dave, wasn't it? Dave just being Dave.
Dave just being Dave.
There's a story in the papers we wanted you to have a little probe of.
Can I just say, Lewis Hamilton, he's won the Grand Prix, the world's Grand Prix, for the second time in a row. He said, right, get this, Justin, he said it's the best day of his life.
Yeah.
He's gone to bed with a pussycat doll.
He has.
And winning a race is the best day of his life. He's doing something wrong, isn't he?
Listen, I went to his old school to meet him years ago. He's actually a really, really nice bloke. He's not arrogant at all. And yesterday, nice to see Nicole there as well.
She's kissing his helmet.
She kissed his helmet. That was nice to see live on TV.
Catherine.
Yes.
But if that's the best day of his life and he's going out with her, he's doing something wrong.
Yeah, but he's a Formula One champion.
He's got that. That's in the bag. Next thing, Grand Prix.
What I would say to him is cheer up just a little bit during these interviews because you're a champion. You've got a pussycat doll girlfriend. Hey, come on, Lewis. Life is good. Cheer up.
Catherine.
Yes. Dad left daughter, aged 2, in car for 10 minutes and it nearly cost him his family. A couple were told that their 5 children could be taken away by social services because the dad left their 2-year-old alone in the car for 5 minutes. This is a story in the Daily Mail and in a number of other papers today. And they're talking about Julie and Jim Haynes and saying that they came within a hair's breadth of losing their children after he left their daughter whilst he popped to buy Calpol at the chemist's. He returned to be confronted by 2 police officers who told him he should not have left the toddler in the car.
Oh, this is tricky because I'm not a parent, but listening to that, what I would say, that is wrong. If I had children, I would not be leaving my children in the car unless I could see them. For example, a petrol station, somewhere like that.
I would do the same thing. I've done the same thing. If the boys are in the back of the car and I can persuade them to stay or they're asleep, I will go and pay for the petrol as long as I can see them constantly. I wouldn't go for I wouldn't go around the corner.
No,
I wouldn't pop into the shop, and I wouldn't go for 10 minutes.
I think it's wrong. I'll take that to the streets, and something else I'm taking to the streets later is Tesco. Goody two-shoes Tesco saying, don't worry guys, you can come into our shops and all of the naughty magazines, they're going to be covered up so your children can't see them. I've been into a Tesco this morning for market research purposes. It took me 5 minutes to find Zoo magazine. This month it's the Ultimate Jodie Marsh edition.
Oh, Lord, again?
Why should I be paying the price? It's taken me 5 minutes to look for a magazine. I'm an innocent man who wants to buy Zoo magazine. What have I done wrong?
There's nothing innocent about you, Dealey, for God's sakes.
There is, lots.
Thank you, Justin. Speak to you later.
Cheers, boss.
Superfan Teresa Young has been to 331 shows by her favourite comedian. Guess who 'tis?
McIntyre.
No. Funnier.
Chubby Brown.
Not quite as funny. Davidson.
Jethro.
Davidson. 331 Jim Davidson shows.
Good grief.
She's averaged nearly 10 gigs a year since first seeing Jim in 1979 and plans to be at the Comics Next show in Surrey next month.
That's normal.
Teresa, 53, of Cardiff, says Jim is the... What's the Welsh accent? Jim is the best comedian in the world. Is a word.
No.
I live in Wales. Jim is the best comedian in the world. He is also the most loving, caring and nicest man I've ever met.
Oh.
You tell that to his first 5 wives. Teresa revealed Jim, 60, had helped her cope with cancer. Oh. She added, I'm from Wales.
What?
Jim is
What
my
does she
rock.
mean, like as a carer?
Jim is my rock. He cheers me up no end. It keeps me going.
Right.
Well, nice little twist. You right, Kels? Good at accents, isn't it?
Yeah, you are.
Thank you, mate.
I have to keep looking up to check it's you.
Yeah, I know.
And today would not be complete if we didn't cover this story.
Oh, yeah, go on.
A heavily pregnant woman and her partner caught trying to induce themselves while waiting to be induced. Couple were discovered by a cleaner. Discovered. Oh, where did I leave my mop?
Not there.
The couple were discovered by a cleaner who heard noises coming from a private room on the maternity ward. The clue's in the title. Private room, please knock.
Not before entering. Let's hope you did.
The worker told hospital bosses, wow, won't adopt them in, but was informed there are no rules against having sex on the ward at St Michael's Hospital in Bristol.
They encourage
Just in case
it.
you were wondering.
They encourage it.
In Bristol?
Bristol City.
How would they sound, Ian?
No.
They encourage it. If this is a fact,
Yes.
okay, and you should know this.
I do.
You are told if your baby is late, either have a curry or have it off.
My babies were both 10 or 11 days late.
What did you have?
Jalfrezi.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
M1 is looking very slow southbound around Junction 10 at Luton Airport. The A1M queuing south around the Stevenage area, and also now between Junctions 4 and 3 southbound, so in the sort of area just south of Hatfield. And I'm told there's a report of an accident along that stretch, which could be why that's looking so bad. The M25 beersing up now around Junction 21, going anti-clockwise past Junction 20, so the M1 past Kings Langley, and very slow on the A405 on the roundabout off Junction 21A at Bricket Wood. London Overground's got severe delays between Watford Junction and Euston, and the Bakerloo line suspended. Queen's Park to Harrow and Wealdstone. Metropolitan line suspended. Chalfont and Latimer to Chesham. Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Russell. What does a terrorist look like? And other fun things coming up.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock, I'm Barry Caffrey. The headlines: counter-terrorism campaign launched, NHS workers go on strike, and Grace's Day for Lewis Hamilton.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
New measures designed to counter what security officials say is the increasing threat of terrorist attacks in Britain will be outlined in a speech by the Home Secretary this morning. Yesterday, Britain's most senior officer, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, Sir Bernard Hogan-Howe, disclosed that 4 or 5 plots had been foiled this year. These people in Aylesbury think the onus should be on the police to tackle terrorism.
They don't exactly advertise their stuff, do they,
No.
with billboards or anything? So how could the
No.
police expect us to be more vigilant?
See, campaigning against it is just...
This is going to stir trouble up even more. You know, like they keep bringing up about that bomber. They're saying she's dead. Well, why say it if they haven't got actual proof? It's just stirring more trouble up.
Thames Valley Police are launching a weapons amnesty this morning. People can hand in illegally held guns and ammunition without facing prosecution. A similar amnesty ended in Hertfordshire last week with nearly 200 weapons handed in. Hospitals in the three counties faced disruption today as several unions take industrial action. The protest started a minute ago. Iain Duncan reports.
Unison Unite and the Royal College of Midwives are among the health unions on strike today. Their dispute is with the government over pay. NHS workers took strike action for the first time in 32 years last month. More unions are involved in today's protest, which Unison says won't affect critical areas such as accident and emergency departments.
The family of a 3-year-old girl who was run over and killed in Luton are raising money for an independent survey of Dunstable Road. Maya Shazad died after being hit by a bus in the Berry Park area of the town last August. The family's solicitor, Atiq Malik, explained why the survey is important.
So the real way to really make sure that for the sake of the wider community that there are no issues is to get an independent person who's not at all linked to the council in any way, has no relationship with them and no reason to side with them, to give an independent report on what are the danger points, what are the safe points, are there any issues and how can they be addressed if there are any.
Two of the UK's leading supermarkets are to change the way they display newspapers because of fears about children being exposed to sexual content. Tesco said its in-store news cubes would be redesigned so that only the newspaper mastheads can be seen, while Waitrose has announced it will change its displays to remove some front pages from children's lines of vision. It follows months of campaigning by campaign groups including Child Eyes and one of its co-founders, Kathy McGuinness.
I first thought it was a problem when I was in a queue just queuing up to buy groceries, and my older son, who was 4 then, was looking at a vertically displayed newspaper front cover with an upskirt shot of a woman, and I just thought, this is really wrong when you sort of see it through a child's eyes.
Lewis Hamilton hailed the greatest day of his life after winning the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to secure a second Formula One world title. The Mercedes man finished the season 67 points clear of his title rival and teammate Nico Rosberg in what he admitted had been a campaign of highs and lows. And the weather forecast, dry and sunny later today with a maximum temperature of 8 degrees Celsius. That's 46 in Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
From 9.
The JVS Show.
With the big phone in, the hottest topic of the day and your consumer problems.
From 12.
Nick Coffer.
Colourful local guests with great stories to tell and fantastic music for your afternoon.
From 3.
Roberto Perroni.
I'm here with a roundup of the day's news, the latest travel and your stories.
From 6.
Three Counties Sport.
With a look back at the weekend's action and taking a look at the grassroots sport across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, guys. Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. I've had a terribly itchy head the last 6 months. Any ideas, Kath?
Nits.
Hey. Would you check me? Could you check me for nits?
Yeah, of course I can.
Up and down?
Yep.
Thank you.
No, you haven't got any.
Thanks very much. Lots on the show this morning. Should we have a little chitty chat about what it is? Terrorist spotting, NHS striking, and mucky newspapers and adult magazines and lads' mags being hidden. As a father of 2 young boys, I think it's a good idea, really. Justin thinks these people are do-gooders. Wagwan! 08459 455 555.
Across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's one of those things that I guess it changes as you get older and when you have kids. You got two young girls, Catherine. I don't suppose you particularly enjoy them seeing things like. I don't think Nuts is going zoo Nuts or I don't know what
Actually,
they are.
I see it as an educational opportunity.
What, readers' wives?
To just say, look, some women do that for a living. You don't have to do that.
Flip it.
Do your homework and read some books.
So hang on a minute. So you don't mind the fact that you can go into a newsagent's or a petrol station and you can see boobies and sometimes Wang Chung as well. You can see.
You cannot.
Sometimes. Well, you can see bums.
Yeah. Everyone's got one. Let's not be prudish about it.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
You're totally surprising me about this.
Really? Why?
Because I would have thought that. Why would you want your girls' minds to be polluted?
I don't want them to, but that's the way the world is. So
No,
what
it's
I
not-
do is arm them against it by admitting that it happens.
Gosh, you're like. Hang on. I'm like ISIS. I'm saying change the world.
Yeah, and I'm being progressive and saying this is the way it is,
Oh,
girls.
flipping heck.
Do your homework, but you don't have to like it.
If I brought in a copy of Escort and Razzle and Men Only and just put them around here.
Oh, that's different.
Why is that different?
Because that is doing something. That's going out of your way to confront them with it. This is just the wallpaper of life.
Gosh. I didn't know you were a bad mother.
Nor did I.
Until just now?
I don't think I am.
No, I think Kath is right. Generally, when we have these arguments, okay, you come down on the side of Catherine. You can't today. You actually can't. You're not a bad mum. You're a brilliant mum. You're going to bring one of your girls in, aren't you?
Yes.
Is that happening?
Yeah, I'll bring her in. In January, I've got a day off.
Yay!
Where better to be than at work?
Then at work. You're not a bad mum at all. You're brilliant. But
I don't believe in.
You're wrong on this.
Pretending things don't happen.
Well, no, but I don't want those images forced on the boys, forced on my
They're
children.
not forced. They're just there. If they ask a question, I give them as much information as they need at this point in their lives.
08459 455 555.
It's like swearing.
Sorry?
People swear around them. They
Yeah.
hear it, and if they ask me what it is, I will tell them, and then I'll tell them why they shouldn't say it.
I don't think it is like swearing. I think it's completely different from swearing.
Really? I think that's kind of sexually aggressive.
No.
Okay.
No, it isn't. Because swearing is language, it's words. We're encouraging them to use words and realise that different words have different impacts, and some words have a very strong impact, and some words, I don't buy into this that they're naughty words, but just some words are in it.
When it's appropriate, isn't
When
it?
it's appropriate. But for them to see, some of these covers are very explicit.
Yeah. But the most explicit ones are in these modesty wrappers now, aren't they?
Not all of them. I mean, you look at the front page of the Sport, or you look at some of these lads magazines is a lazy term, but I'm being a bit lazy this morning. You look at the front of some of those. It is sexualising the body for young people when they don't need to know about that stuff.
But it's happening, so why don't we take the power out of it by addressing it?
08459 455 555. Great chat there.
Thanks.
Great talky bit.
Well, it's what I think.
No, I know it's what you
With
think.
my mind.
Wow. I thought you were told to leave that at home. Thank you. Now, this week, we're being asked to report anyone who we think might be a terrorist. Counter-Terrorism Awareness Week is about making us understand the threat and be vigilant to things that are out of place or suspicious and report it to the police. It also requires businesses to check that their security measures are effective and to train their staff to detect potential threats and, if necessary, respond to an attack. Well, these people in Aylesbury think it shouldn't be up to the public to keep an eye out for terrorists.
They don't exactly advertise their stuff, do they,
No.
with billboards or anything? So how could the
No.
police expect us to be more vigilant?
See, campaigning against it is just...
This is going to stir trouble up even more. Like they keep bringing up about that bomber. They're saying she's dead. Well, why say it if they haven't got actual proof? It's just stirring more trouble up. And I just think they should leave it. That's going to do nothing, only stir more trouble. That's my opinion. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah,
really.
and I totally agree with that.
And not all Islamics are the same. You can't tar everyone with earth feathers. Because they think there's one, they treat them all like it. And this is just going to stir up more trouble.
And that's how they miss people,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they're
They're concentrating.
looking for a certain type,
they're barking up the
and
wrong
they're
tree.
wrong. They are barking up
They're
the wrong
barking up the
tree
wrong tree.
because, as I say, it could be anybody, and they expect it to be a Muslim. But no, I disagree with that.
I'd love your thoughts on this, dear listener. Do you think it's a good idea, this campaign? And how would you spot terror? I don't know what suspicious activity is. 08459 455 555. We can speak to former Chief Constable of Thames Valley Police, Peter Nero. Good morning again, Peter.
Good morning.
What do you think about campaigns like this?
Well, I think they're absolutely essential. I think the timing, I'm not sure they've actually kind of set out what the timing is, but there's an awful lot going on in the rest of the world at the moment. and we're no longer, never have been for quite some time, insulated from those events. But we're running into Christmas, which is, for the point of view of ISIS, it's the big Christian festival. And then immediately after that, we're running into a general election. Those are two very vulnerable moments. So I think the purpose of this campaign is fundamentally to raise the public's awareness running into those two events.
What are we supposed to be keeping an eye out for? Back in the day, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm aggrandising the days of the IRA, but you were kind of looking for rucksacks or bags left unattended, weren't you? Now it's not as simple as that, is it?
Well, it was a bit more than that. You were looking for activity that didn't fit, or people who didn't fit, and behaviour that didn't fit the normal process. It didn't always get spotted, but quite a lot of the information that started you down that trail came from somebody saying to the police, there's something going on, I'm not happy about it, and that type of information does matter. And I agree with some of those, some of the vox pop from your street. It getting away from the stereotypes really matters, and just thinking when something doesn't fit.
Is this going to create more fear or more division among different communities?
I'm not sure that fear is the word. It's about being realistic.
Suspicion, then, perhaps, is a better word.
Yeah, but it is about being realistic. You only have to look at what's, for example, going on in Israel at the moment with people driving cars at pedestrians and stabbings and bombings in synagogues to realise that in a place which had actually had relatively peaceful period, the threat has escalated. Now, Israel's not the UK, but the UK is very definitely in the front line of some of these activities.
And what sort of things should we be looking for, Peter? I mean, because I've been kind of scratching my head, and I don't quite know what I would consider suspicious.
Well, you have to think about the type of places that are potentially vulnerable. So, the very obvious one at this time of year, in the run up to Christmas, is going to be the big public spaces, town centres, and shopping centres. And there, the police are trying to get the message across, particularly to security personnel whose job it is, and to those responsible for our security in those spaces, to look out for things and behaviours. People, as you said, people leaving rucksacks and leaving material, parking vans in odd places. Those type of things that might just give you a clue to something going on.
Part of my concern about this, I remember my first few times on the tube after the 7/7 bombings, and they were quite tense.
Yeah.
But we saw people being suspicious of young Asian men who had rucksacks.
Yes.
And kind of, for a while, there were a few instances of it actually being quite aggressive being in those environments.
Yeah, no, as with all these things, there has to be some balance. And like you, I was on the underground the days after that event, and it did make you feel nervous. But nevertheless, I think the police are right to try and raise the public's concerns. The difficulty, of course, is this balance between giving very precise information, which, frankly, if you've got it, you should be going out and arresting people, and getting general awareness raising. But I mean, the focus of this campaign is also on those who are responsible for protecting us when we're in those environments. It's both of those things, not just on the public.
Peter, always good to get your thoughts on things like this. Thank you very much indeed. Former Chief Constable of Thames Valley Police, Peter Nehrude, always has something interesting to say. Your thoughts, please. Campaigns like this work. What would you say? And if you thought your neighbour was a dodgepot and up to something no good, would you tell? I suppose if you thought it was terrorism, you'd have to. But what would you be looking for? I don't quite know what it is I'd be looking for. And if you saw a van parked where a van shouldn't be parked, what the hell have you got in your bag, Boyle?
A load of stuff. I'm just doing some life admin.
Why are you sorting it out now?
I'm talking some carrot seeds. I'm going to grow some seeds.
I'm doing an important talk about terrorists here, and you've got a load of mail.
I was looking for something in my bag, and I realised I've got all this stuff in here. Anyway, go on.
Kel, sorry, mate. Could you have a word with Kath?
Yeah, sure. Kath, can you not do that while he's on air, or at least do it under the desk so that he doesn't realise?
Look at that.
Like normal. Oh, yeah, that's interesting, actually.
Unbelievable.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, we've got some delays on the M1 southbound, particularly approaching junction 11, the A505 Luton and Dunstable turn looks very slow south coming down towards there, about halfway back to junction 12, the Toddington and Flitwick turn. Other bits busying up. The A1M certainly very slow southbound around the Stevenage area, junctions 8 to 7, that sort of area. And then further down towards Hatfield, still very slow. There was an accident between junctions 4 and 3. That's been cleared, but traffic's still very slow coming down that little Wellington Hatfield stretch. M25 very slow anti-clockwise, junctions 21 to 19 from the M1 to Watford, then from 18 to 15 in patches from Chorleywood to the M4. London Overground up and running, but with severe delays between Watford Junction and Euston after a flooding problem. The Bakerloo line up and running too now between Queen's Park and Harrow and Wildston, but with severe delays. The Metropolitan line remains suspended between Chalfont and Latimer and Chesham. That's because of a signal failure that's left Chesham Station closed. Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. 7:16, it's Monday the 24th of November. It's a month until Christmas Eve! Woo! But in the meantime, these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. New measures designed to tackle the threat of terrorist attacks in Britain will be outlined in a speech by the Home Secretary this morning. Thames Valley Police are launching a weapons amnesty this morning. People can hand in illegally held guns and ammunition without facing prosecution.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Just had an exciting email. I think I'm going to be turning on some Christmas lights a little bit later on in the year. Very, very exciting. Shh, don't tell the other presenters.
Even though it's still only November, it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. So on Wednesday, I'm heading over to Bedford for their annual light switching on celebrations. I'll be based at the Bedford Swan Hotel, finding about all the stalls, coming face to face with some reindeer, and maybe meeting the man himself.
Roberto Perroni.
Live from Bedford's Christmas Light Switch On, Wednesday from 3 here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hey up, Chuck. Wagwan. Morning, Boyle.
Oh, you're talking to me?
Hey!
Why are you doing that?
Just because I'm kind of not sure where we're going now. I was a little bit distracted there. I'm not turning on any Christmas lights. Hey, here's a message. If you have got Christmas lights outside your house, get a life. It's worse than Dan. Do you know who Dan is?
Pardon?
You know who Dan is?
No.
Dan's the plum who had the 3 flags of St George outside above his white van.
White van man, Dan.
If you have Christmas lights outside your house, then you are worse than Dan.
I've got Christmas lights.
What have you got?
Just a sort of tasteful white danglers.
Sorry. It's shit. Oh, listen, everybody on Facebook who complains about the BBC 3CR gripe page, and we want Iain Lee to get the SAG page, the SAG. Back to that picture of Stevie. She's the filthy one. She's the innuendo lady.
I'm not. I can't describe them.
Do you mean just like little white lights around a tree?
Yeah, just across the bay window.
Oh, no, that's... Well, no.
Kids like them.
Yeah, of course they do, because they're kids.
Yeah.
And they're common kids. That is quite sad.
No, it's not. It's beautiful.
We've got little sparklers in a bush.
Right, OK, well,
Little white dangly ones in a bush.
That would be a trip hazard where I am.
OK. But those losers, those sad sacks that have the glowing snowman and Father Christmas and all of that stuff...
So I'm all right, am I? But you still...
Could I see a picture of them, please?
Yeah.
Not now.
I'll have a look.
Were they there the other day when I came round?
No, they're not going up yet.
OK.
They'll go up in December.
I'd rather you didn't. But those people... Those people... Yet... I'm going to be the landlord of your house. I'm going to repossess it and kick you out.
Oh.
Then where will you be for Christmas?
Your house.
Well, no. So, but the people that put these Christmas lights, I hate it. And local radio stations often do have you spotted the greatest Christmas lights outside somebody's house? No. If you have, phone up and report them. They are reducing the price of your house.
I mean, they are ridiculous, but I must admit that during the festive season, my children like... nothing better. They like some things better. They like sweets and cake.
And opening a jar that nobody else has been able to open.
But very satisfying.
And put it... Hang on, let me find the...
But What I'm coming to is this.
Put a money fine top. Your kids put a money fine top.
But they also enjoy, if we're coming back from somewhere and it is dark, I take them around the tacky houses.
Oh, you take. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it.
Go on.
I'm going to do an Edith Snowbury or whatever at Thornbury. I'm going to say it. You take them around the council estates.
No. Not around the council estates. There are some houses that get involved around where I live, and where I live is a very exclusive area.
That's where you find them. You wouldn't find them outside Buckingham Palace. You wouldn't find them outside posh places. The Christmas lights outside that house really are poor.
08459 455 555. Just a bit of fun, lighten up.
0845. Oh, you did that. OK. We're really disagreeing a lot today.
Texts.
Go on
Morning,
then,
Ian. The clip of the two old dears talking about terrorists. Can we get them animated by Aardman?
Yeah, we'll ask him.
Is there going to be a new hobby? We've got train spotters, Eddie spotters, now we'll have terror spotters. You have to get in their national insurance numbers or their shoe size. It should go like a bomb.
Well,
no, Chris, in Third Eye, that's not really... I mean, it's a serious
this
thing.
week I got 2 ISIS, but I also got 3 Boko Haram.
Muffin Hanslope.
I'll swap your Boko Haram for a Basque. All right, then.
I love the Ballroom Blitz, says Muffin Hanslope, but the damned version is even better. Oh, and then he says something awful. I know what a terrorist looks like. Jeff Dunham has a dead one called Ahmed. It's on YouTube. Oh, I've seen that one.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, he's got like a puppet.
Oh, OK.
A live one looks like a politician. They're always dropping bombshells. Good, says Chris in Thurley.
Thank you for those, guys. Although I wasn't really listening. Sorry?
I noticed.
Hertfordshire-based Tesco is to change the way it displays newspapers because of fears about children being exposed to sexual content. This is something we disagree on. You're not that bothered by it, are you, Kath? Which surprises me with your 2 young girls.
I think it's a fact of life. I don't like it, but it allows me to teach my daughters that they should do their homework rather than getting their tops off.
See, I don't think it has to be a fact of life that these things are on display. I don't want my boys seeing them. I want, listen, my boys will experiment with pornography when they're old enough to do it, but I don't want them as youngsters
I don't want it to be a secret naughty thing. That's where the danger is, isn't it?
Or we completely desensitise them to those kind of images and think, hey, those kind of images are OK. And I don't think they are.
Fine.
Thank you. The supermarket's newsstands are going to be redesigned so only the title of the paper can be seen, and Waitrose is also following suit, moving them out of the sight of children. Well, I'm joined by Louisa de Beaufort, a mum from Hertfordshire and a spokesperson for Child Eyes. Morning, Louisa.
Hello, good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Now, tell me about this campaign. Is it just newspapers that are being moved?
At the moment, my understanding is that Tesco is revising its point of sale for newspapers, yes, so that the front pages are not able to be seen.
Because newspapers generally, apart from the Sport, which is a newspaper by the very loosest definition, and the Star, and occasionally the Sun, newspapers aren't that bad, are they?
Well, I think those newspapers that you've mentioned in terms of sexist and damaging images for children to see are really bad. So this is a great first step as far as I can see.
So will we be able to see the headlines?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one. I don't think so. You will be able to see the name of the newspaper. That's my understanding.
Because if you can't see the headlines, that's a little bit disappointing, and could be argued that that's a little bit over the top. I'm all for the pictures of the nudie women not being on display. I've got 2 young boys, 4 and 2, and I don't want them to see that. But I do want to see the headlines.
I would agree, and I guess it is a shame that it has come to this, but this is about protecting children. That's what this is about, protecting children, and it's sending very strong messages back to the newspapers to say, actually, there are some environments, not many, but a supermarket might be one, an environment that should be family-friendly. You're trawling around with your children. You haven't got time to have conversations about the headlines that are often about rape, about not positive things about sex, but kind of really problematic things, and then a big image of a woman, which again are hard to talk about. But it is a shame, I agree, that perhaps headlines aren't there. But it sends a message back to the newspapers, and maybe they'll think about their front pages.
Well, they won't, though, will they?
Well, I don't know.
Well, no, they won't, will they? They'll still, people will buy the Star because they know what the Star is, and it's it's a cracking newspaper. It's just the front pages are a little bit unhelpful. People will still buy the Sun.
But I have no problem with people buying it. They're adults. They make that choice. I have a problem that parents are unable to protect their children, and children have no freedom as they're walking around a supermarket not to have this in their face currently. This seems like a small step, and it's a shame about the headlines, but in terms of protecting children, which is most important, I guess.
But why couldn't Tesco just cover up the if there's a rude newspaper front? Why couldn't they just make it their policy that that's covered up and we still get to see the front page of the other newspapers?
But to be honest, I think the stands will only cover up problematic pictures. Right. Yeah, that's my understanding. I don't know how these new display systems will work, but I think they will cover up problematic front pages that are damaging to children to be confronted with as they're going about their daily business shopping with their parents.
Stay there, Louisa. We're just joined now by former editor of the Sunday Mirror, also deputy editor of the Mirror and the News of the World, Paul Connew. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning.
What do you think about this story? Tesco's hiding the front pages of newspapers to protect our children.
I think on the surface it sounds fine, but I think there are real dangers here to free speech. It's a form of censorship, and I think it's slightly overkill. I think most days front pages are not going to cause offence, and the front page is a very important vehicle for newspapers to promote their big story. So I think here there's a real danger that this is going over the top. And I think while I admire the energy of the campaigners, I think there are far bigger issues here, like what children can access in the wild west of cyberspace that are far more worrying and far more worthy this sort of campaign than mainstream newspapers.
Louisa?
Well, I agree that there are bigger issues, but that doesn't mean these issues aren't important. There is no chance for a parent to filter out as you go into the supermarket. You either don't take your child in there if you're worried about these images, or you have to blindfold them. You don't have a chance to protect them. There is legislation...
Or you just don't go past the newspaper section. You don't have to blindfold them, do you?
No, quite.
Well, fine, you don't have to blindfold them, but there are also children's magazines. My kids are hugely interested in the children's magazines, and it's interesting that you say the speaker said most days what's on the front won't cause offence. I've only been involved with Child Eyes for the last year. When you start looking at the sorts of text and images that are routinely on the front pages of newspapers and magazines, I would absolutely disagree that most days they won't cause offence.
Well, you're right. The Daily Express has a picture of Nigel Farage with a pint of beer, and that is outrageous. That is something I don't want my kids to see. Paul, it is. If it's protecting our kids, then that's got to be worth it, hasn't it?
But I think, what are we protecting our children from? That is the question.
Sexist imagery.
I have schoolboy sons. I really don't think they are going to be terribly influenced by the front page of the Sun, or the Mirror. Most days. Funnily enough, I've written for The Guardian in the past. I think that the page 3 girl, for example, is an anachronism 20 years past her sell-by date. If I'd been edited in The Sun, I would have dumped her years ago or asked Rupert Murdoch to agree to it. But at the same time, that's a very different issue from the front page. The front pages. How often is a front page really going to actually be in danger of corrupting children? How often is it that much of a sexist image? I just think there's a danger here. We're losing a sense of proportion.
Louisa, last 30 seconds to you. Go on.
Last 30 seconds. Well, basically, I would say often, and research also shows that this is hugely damaging to children, how they feel about themselves, how they feel about other children, how they feel about sex. And I would say often, the type of headlines, 14, 6, sex, child-killing bastard, stabbed me 27 times, sex with my son.
Now, Louisa, hang on a minute. Now you've just done what you're trying to stop. You've just...
Yeah, for the purpose of adults listening to this show.
No, Louisa. Well, now, Louisa, now you've got to apologise there because we don't allow bad language on the show. Louisa, you've just done what you're campaigning against doing. You know, for the purpose of adults listening to the show. Yeah, it's 7:30 in the morning, and guess what? There are loads of kids listening. So, with the greatest of respect, haven't you just negated your argument by doing what you're criticising other people for doing? I have to apologise that there, you know, it's a category C or B, I don't know, but I have to apologise for anyone listening. Well, that was a strange...
And we all understand why she did it.
Yeah, but that was a strange conclusion to the story about censorship to protect our children, and then she drops a swear word in. I don't... Thank you, Louisa. Thank you, Paul. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and Bucks.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, the M1 looking pretty slow in patches, really, going from junction 12, Toddington and Flitwick, down to around 9, the turn for the A5. The A1M still got very slow traffic on a couple of stretches, really. One is between junctions 8 and 7, the two Stevenage turns, very busy there. Then further down between junctions 4 and 3, just south of Hatfield, it's queuing after a breakdown earlier on, or an accident earlier, I think it was. M25 very slow anti-clockwise, junctions 21 to 19, that's the M1 to Watford, then 18 to 15 in patches from Chorleywood round to the M4. Metropolitan line suspended between Chalfont and Latimer and Chesham, with minor delays on the rest of the line after a signal failure that's left Chesham station closed. On the Bakerloo line, there are severe delays between Queen's Park and Harrow and Wealdstone, with severe delays to London Overground services too, between Watford Junction and Euston. That's after flooding earlier on. Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
With the headlines, I'm Barry Caffrey. Good morning. New anti-terrorism measures, including a law to prevent insurance companies paying ransoms to kidnappers, will be outlined today by the Home Secretary. She'll also confirm that the legislation will make it compulsory for public bodies such as schools and colleges to try to prevent terrorism. Some health workers are going on strike this morning in a second round of industrial action in a dispute about pay. They're unhappy about a decision to give them either a 1% pay rise or an annual increment, but not both. And Thames Valley Police are launching a weapons amnesty this morning. People can hand in illegally held guns and ammunition without facing prosecution. And the weather, frosty to start, dry and sunny later, with maximum temperatures of 8 Celsius. That's 46 in Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, Hertfordshire's Lewis Hamilton hailed the greatest day of his life after winning the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to secure a second Formula One world title. The Mercedes man finished the season 67 points clear of his title rival and teammate Nico Rosberg in what he admitted had been a campaign of highs and lows.
I think Spa was even lower than Silverstone, but it had a different kind of impact on me. You know, when you make the mistake, it's a painful feeling in a different way. Obviously, when it's not your fault and you lose out, then it's painful because it's not, you feel helpless. You know, you're kind of kicking yourself when you make the mistake. And obviously in Silverstone, that's what I was doing. I went home and came back the next day. The support was phenomenal.
The Liverpool manager Brendan Rodgers has accepted responsibility after a 3-1 defeat at Crystal Palace. Liverpool are now 18 points behind Premier League leaders Chelsea. Rodgers admits his side are lacking experience but refused to blame them.
Players finding their feet here playing for Liverpool and then maybe not getting the results. To give you that confidence, especially if you have a new player coming in, then it can be difficult. But as I said, it's my responsibility, you know, to put a team out that can win, and at the minute I'm not doing that.
Elsewhere, Tottenham have moved into the top half of the table after they came from behind to beat 10-man Hull 2-1. The former Arsenal striker Iain Wright says it's getting to that time when Arsene Wenger should think about leaving the club. Saturday's defeat to Manchester United left Arsenal 15 points behind off leaders Chelsea. And this evening there's one game in the Premier League as Aston Villa host second-placed Southampton. Watford lost for the third match in a row in the Championship, going down 2-1 to league leaders Derby. MK Dons are up to fourth in League One as they beat Port Vale. Wickham moved back to the top of League Two, above Luton, as the Chairboys beat Cheltenham and the Hatters lost at Burton. And Stevenage boss Graham Westley was unhappy with some of his fans as they lost 1-0 at Northampton on Saturday. Westley was frustrated with how some of the away supporters reacted.
There were a couple of guys who were being very rude, insulting them. I've got family who sit there and, they're being very rude, obscene and talking to me in a disgusting way. So I went across to them to remind them that they need to be respectful, and I hope the people responsible are made to pay for it.
And in rugby union, Bedford were beaten by Cornish Pirates in the Championship yesterday by 65 points to 14. BBC Three Counties Radio News and Sport. I'll be back with a full bulletin at 8 o'clock.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me. Down the road is where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. Down this road that never seems to end. When new adventure lies just around the bend. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, the whole world is my home. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. There's a world that's waiting to unfold. A brand new tale no one has ever told. We've journeyed far, but you know it won't be long. We're almost there and we paid our fare with a hobo song. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style.
Everybody, maybe tomorrow I wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, you know I'll be wrong. This week, the littlest hobo gets rabies.
Oh no, I've got rabies.
The end. Tesco Steve.
Hello, morning.
Good morning, Steve. You want to talk about the front pages of newspapers being covered to protect our children. You probably think it's a good idea, don't you?
No, I don't. It's a loads of codswallops, isn't it? What interest? What would they know about it? They're kids. They're in a different world, aren't they? And plus, you can't hide them from the fact eventually they're going to see it anyway. You're going to end up with a bunch of prune children, and you go, oh, I can't do that. My mum and daddy said so.
A bunch of what?
Prunes. Or prudish.
Prunes?
But surely it's down to the teacher, it's down to the parents and the teachers to teach their children to sort of educate them into that. It's at the end of the day, we've got freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and at the moment it's being eroded rapidly, and we might as well live in Russia, comrade. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what it's like here at the minute.
I'm finding myself agreeing with you.
Thank you. I love you. Long time.
I just think that while as a society we've not made it illegal to have these things on the front pages, then if as a society we're saying it's okay, then it's down to the parents to tell the kids why maybe it's not the way of life they want to do.
Exactly. You teach your own kids, you protect your kids, you educate them with alcohol, isn't it?
There's freedom of expression, Steve.
Yeah.
But does that freedom extend to newspapers publishing photographs on the front of their papers?
What's natural?
Can I finish the sentence?
Go on, then.
What's natural about a midget going under a woman's skirt and taking a picture of her gusset? What's natural about that?
Well, that's not in the newspaper, though, is it? That's not on the front page.
Yes, it is, Steve. It's on the front page of the Sport quite regularly.
Well, surely the other worry you've got with the fact of the sport and that, surely in other newspapers, in the local papers, you've got massage parlours.
No, we're not talking about that. No, Steve.
No, you're talking about
Steve,
the same industry.
Address the issue I've just mentioned. Don't brush over the gusset. That is on the front page of newspapers. Should my kids have to see that? No, they shouldn't.
Yeah, but why would they be looking at it?
Because it's on the front page of a newspaper. They will walk past the newspapers.
Right, I'll tell you what, you walk into a shop today and you tell me and identify everything that's happening around. When you go anywhere...
Sorry, do you tell me... Walk into a shop and you tell me and identify everything that's happening around. That doesn't even mean anything, Stephen.
You're saying with the kids are not taking any notice.
Well, hang on a minute. You've just said the kids are taking notice and it's the parents' responsibility to explain it. So how do I explain that a newspaper pays a midget to take upskirt photos of young women? How do I explain that?
Listen, I forgot this is a free country. We had 2 world wars for freedom of expression.
It's not a free country. Explain that. Explain it. How do I explain that to my child?
Can I?
You try and educate your child, don't you? The same as the schools. That's all it is. They can look at it and they should just wipe it away and just think, oh, they're just stupid people.
Can I make a suggestion?
End of story.
If you can get them to shut up, yes, you can.
What you do is if your children notice it, you go home and you help them write a stern letter of complaint to the newspaper.
For goodness sakes. For goodness sakes. Dealey.
Wow. Stevie boy, talking sense.
Oh, come on. We can't. When did we start agreeing with Steve in Luton?
From today, Steve, you are bang on the money, my friend.
For goodness sakes, you and Catherine, I expect you to, because you're a little bit the right of Farage. But Catherine, oh, for goodness sakes. You see what you've done, Steve?
What?
Yeah, exactly.
You cannot hide the news. You cannot hide the news. I get it when it comes to some of the naughty magazines. Of course I get that. But newspapers? Come on, you can't hide what's going on in the world.
Steve, I'm trying to think of a way of describing Steve, right? And I would say
legend?
No, I wouldn't say legend. I would say he's like a sausage in a sea of beans. What would you reckon to that, Steve? Oh, hang on a second. He's gone quiet. Steve, I reckon you're like a sausage in a sea of beans.
Oh, I'm just a small egg in the pan, aren't I? So I don't know everything.
All right, fair play. We'll go with that. Justin.
Yeah.
There's another story. What's the story we've sent Dealey out on today, Boyle?
We've sent him out on the story of the guy who almost lost his children, he says, because he left his 2-year-old in the car for 10 minutes while he popped in to get some Calpol.
Would you ever leave your children unattended in a vehicle? This, I have to say, Ian, has been the most one-sided street report I have ever conducted for you.
And you've done a few of those?
I've done quite a few over the years, so maybe about 3 a day. That's quite a few a week. Over a year, that's even more. So I took it to the streets this morning, talking to parents, and here's what they had to say. Paul, how many children have you got?
Just one.
Would you ever leave your child in a car unattended for even 5 minutes?
No, never in a million years, no. You hear stories of, them being taken away, etc. So no, never.
What do you think about parents who do that and think there's absolutely nothing wrong with it?
I don't think they should be doing that at all, full stop. It's a bad habit, so taking risks, really, so I don't think they should do it.
You say it's a bad habit. Let me ask you the ultimate question. Are they bad parents for doing that, in your opinion?
In my opinion, yes. I'd say they are. Because they're taking, as I say, they're taking a risk.
Are you just not a bit paranoid, though?
Not really, no. You hear stories of it happening, so to me, myself, I don't think you should do it.
Well, madam, you're here with your young child. That's a nice set. How old is he?
1 and 5 months.
1 and 5 months. Would you ever consider leaving him in a car while she went to go and pick something up?
No.
When you're laughing about it? Yeah. Not even for a few minutes?
No.
What do you think about those parents who do that, like the parents we're talking about today in the papers? What's your thoughts on them?
Not necessarily bad parents, because saying if the baby's sleeping, you don't want to wake them up to go to the shop, but personally, I wouldn't do it.
So even if your baby was sleeping, you just wouldn't take that risk?
No.
No, never.
You say never. Tell us why never, even for a few minutes?
No, not for a few minutes. No excuse for anything like that.
Are you a bad parent if you do that?
You don't know what the circumstances are, but I wouldn't personally do it, so...
Would it make you feel sick if you did?
God, yeah, it would, yeah.
Hey, as long as you can see them, you're in the petrol station, fine.
Yeah, I mean, petrol station's absolutely fine, but if you're going to... And again, I'm not a parent, so I don't speak from experience here, but if I was a parent, I would not be leaving my child in a car and then going to the shop, even for 2 minutes. That, for me, is just wrong. You could call me paranoid, but no, I just think that's the wrong thing to do. I don't think you'll find anybody who will admit to doing that. Even if they do that, I think they would certainly keep quiet about it.
Justin, you're going to go and talk about newspapers as well later on?
I will do,
Speak
yes.
to you in a little bit. Cheers, my dears.
2 words, petrol station.
Yeah?
No one takes their children out of the car at
No.
the petrol station.
No. Well,
Does it make a difference about the line of sight?
That woman said an interesting thing. That her baby was 1 year and 5 months. Right. That's either 17 months or a year and a half. What age do you stop doing the months?
Oh, I stopped doing it pretty early.
Like
It's just a baby.
Oh, man!
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, the M1's still looking pretty busy in patches, but it doesn't look like it's queuing anymore, but it certainly looks very busy southbound from around junction 12, the Toddington Athletic turn down to around 8 at Hemel Hempstead, certainly in patches, plus delays building up on the A5 now, which is looking very busy in the Markgate area coming down towards the M1 at junction 9. The A1M still very slow southbound, junctions 8, 7, the two Stevenage turns, then sort of the Welling to Hatfield stretch where there was a breakdown earlier on, left a few delays. The M25 looks a bit slow, certainly anti-clockwise, junctions 21A round to 15 in patches, so from St Albans round to the M4. Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Russell. 7:46, Monday the 24th of November. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. All this week, counter-terrorism bosses are appealing for the public's help to combat extremism. And some health workers are going on strike this morning in a second round of industrial action in dispute about pay. Let's get the weather. Here's Georgina.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello there. Well, it's a fairly chilly day today. We've got some frost and fog patches around for some of us this morning. But actually, it's a fairly decent day all in all. Largely dry, lots of sunny spells, light winds and temperatures reaching 8 degrees Celsius. So a much more pleasant day than yesterday, certainly. Tonight, we've got a clear start to the evening, but then more of that fog and frost developing, probably more widespread than it was last night. In fact, those temperatures getting down to close to freezing again. And tomorrow, a lot of fog around in the morning. That's pretty much getting stuck there for a while, but generally speaking it's going to be a cloudier day tomorrow. There will be some sunny spells, but increasingly cloudy through the day. We've got outbreaks of rain coming up from the south. That probably we won't see until after dark though. Temperatures up to about 8 degrees Celsius, and then further patchy rain on Wednesday. We've got light rain and drizzle on Thursday, but Friday's looking much drier but becoming more breezy. That's your latest forecast.
Every weekday morning,
You can book your place on the show now.
Jonathan Vernon Smith.
Come on and get some help, get some assistance.
Tackling your consumer problems.
They couldn't trace an account in any of the names or any of the addresses that were given.
For it to be running for 6 weeks and then for them to cut it all off again just doesn't make any sense.
The JVS show fights for your rights.
He came to me and asked if I could go and have a word with said bank.
I had an email from the bank to say that you'd been in touch with them, and the senior customs relations manager was most apologetic.
Thankfully, you managed to get your money back.
Yep, but that was due to, obviously, your station itself.
The JVS show. Weekdays from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
More strikes this morning. This time it's the unions representing hospital staff, including nurses, midwives and paramedics. The protest began nearly an hour ago and will continue until 11 o'clock this morning. We can speak to Paul O'Brien, Unison Branch Secretary for the Luton and Dunstable Hospital, also a porter at the hospital. What's this dispute about, Paul?
Basically, every year the paying NHS is started by the NHS pay review body. This year they made a recommendation of 1%. The government then decided to go against that recommendation and decided that only staff who are at the top of their pay band would actually get a pay rise. Anyone who's still going in increments, like just starting, they won't get any pay rise.
Your pay does go up every year, doesn't it?
Only it's kind of like part of on the job. Like, as you get better at the job, it's part of your knowledge and skills framework assessment.
Yes.
So as you're learning a job, you actually get like as your knowledge increases, then your pay increases to
to match as you're learning.
Why are you punishing patients and putting lives at risk?
But actually punishing patients, all the essential areas have actually still got cover. It's only the non-essential, so it's more of an inconvenience than actual punishing them. All it means is there'll be a slight delay in some clinics and appointments.
But it's still patients that will be struggling, won't they? And that doesn't seem fair that they should be punished.
Well, if they want good patient care, you've got to have...
Don't go in today.
No, you've got to have staff who are actually dedicated, actually enthusiastic, and it's actually getting pay, which they shouldn't be getting. They're actually getting less pay year on year. Then you've got to have disillusioned staff who are going to be more they're actually not going to put as much enthusiasm into the job.
This is the second time, isn't it, the Unison members have gone on strike? Yeah. There was one recently. I'm guessing the first one didn't work.
Well, for any strike action, just as a one-off, it's not going to affect... You have to continue to action until actually government starts paying attention to it and actually taking notice that they're not going to take it anymore.
So will there be more strikes, Paul?
I would think so. That's up to the national body to decide on.
Paul, thank you very much for your time. That's Paul O'Brien, who is the Unison branch secretary for the L&D Hospital.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Difficult to argue with on so many levels. Catherine, Texas.
We've got one from Pat in Houghton Regis.
Hello, Pat.
On the subject of spotting terrorists. This is because it's Counter-Terrorism Week, everyone, and it means that we're supposed to be extra vigilant because we're not being vigilant enough. So we're asking, what does a terrorist look like? Pat seems to know. What's the matter?
Scott's tweeting me.
Oh, of course he has. Morning, Scott.
Morning, Scott. Scott is making some very valid points about that last interview.
Okay.
But I probably won't share them on air.
Pat says...
Yes.
Spotting a terrorist is made harder while the face veil is permitted in this country. Isn't that a loaded sentence? Let me just read it again.
Go on.
Spotting a terrorist is made harder while the face veil is permitted in this country.
Well, OK. Well, loaded, yes, but... Do you remember when the 7/7... Not the 7/7 bombs. There was a second plot, wasn't there, afterwards, on the 21st, I think, of July. I can't quite remember. And the people responsible that were planning that, didn't they go on and try and set off a bomb, but it didn't work, or something?
I can't remember. You're not thinking of the liquid bomb plot?
No. This was on the tube. I think remember it was one in Shepherd's Bush, and the people that were responsible for that, some of the blokes dressed up as women with the whole outfit and tried to escape. And there was really dramatic pictures of the police rugby tackling what looked like two women in burqas. It wasn't. It was these blokes, I think, that were trying to escape. So
it's true that has been used, but also it's been used by white armed robbers. If you remember, do you remember the jewellery store raid where they were wearing burqas?
Well, then let's get rid of it then. That's the logical conclusion to those 2 points, isn't it? If it's being used by dodgepots to commit crimes or to evade justice, then let's get rid of it.
It's been used by many more people to observe their culture. I wouldn't say faith.
No, it's not a faith thing, is it? It's a culture. It's a cultural thing.
Anyway, Pat says, spot a terrorist made harder while the face veil is permitted in this country. What a disguise to use to get around the country. Muslims must be the prime suspects to start because they harbour Islamic extremists within their mosques and schools and communities.
What does a Muslim look like? That's the thing. Is it a brown person? Because there are white Muslims and there are brown people who aren't Muslims. Do you know what I mean? So we had one of the people in Matt's Vox said, oh, they're brown and with a beard. That they might have a rucksack in a shopping centre and just be stood there. What does that mean?
That's a whole lot of people.
Isn't it?
This religion breeds extremism and they seem to be at war with the world. Ban the veil for starters, says Pat.
He's going off into nonsense. You started off with a fairly decent point and then you went on to talk a load of old rubbish. Katia!
Yes, hello.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not from beds and...
No, well, you shouldn't be. Listen, this is a voice from the past. Katia, why don't you tell the boys and girls what you do for a living?
I do engraving.
What do you engrave?
Lots of metal things.
What's the metal that you tend to engrave the most?
Listen, I'm not going to say because
She's a gun engraver.
Katya.
She engraves the guns.
No,
How does that make you feel, Katya, knowing that your work, your artistic work, could be used by deviants and murderers?
Hang on, Katya. So if there is a bullet with my name on it, you put it there.
No, listen. First of all, I'm so happy to be on the BBC. It's the first time ever in my life.
Big day.
It could be the last time as well, Katya. You're from Lincoln. You shouldn't be listening to this radio station.
I know. I'm crossing the threshold.
You're crossing the streams. Let's see if it's a good enough call for you to warrant listening or not.
Okay, what I wanted to say...
Your English has improved since I spoke to you 6 years ago.
Well, it's just, yes, because here in Lincolnshire, we've got English people, and I listen to them.
That would be it.
Point.
That sounded a little bit... I'm not going to say
It did sound a little bit, Katya, yes.
Well,
you Belgians are, though, aren't you?
No, listen...
you worship a statue of a boy urinating. What kind of country is that?
That's a bit shameful, really.
Isn't it, just?
Katya, are you a Walloon?
I am, yes. How do you know that?
Because you don't have a Frenchy twang to your voice, so it could only be a Walloon.
Catherine speaks many different languages.
I don't speak that Flemish.
Katya, can I ask, are you in a bad mood?
I am not in a bad mood.
All right, I'm just asking.
Okay, listen, I'm here to make a serious phone call, actually.
Okay, right.
About the front pages.
Okay.
What I wanted to say, really, is going to be a little bit Mary Whitehouse, isn't it? But
isn't it just?
Get rid of them.
What?
I don't understand it. I tell you what, the first time I came to England and I saw them, I was well shocked.
I was well shocked.
Yes.
Oh, I've missed you, Katya. Yes.
Yeah, well, I want to say boobs is not news.
Say that again.
Okay, but boobs is not news, really.
Just say boobs is not news.
I've said it already.
Just say. Sorry, we couldn't hear you there. And
So boobs is not news.
Thank you, Katya.
Okay, thank you.
You can carry on and make your point now, please.
No, okay, but so really, it's not serious. When you come from another country and you see that, you're like, oh, are they taking the Mickey or something? You know, put that away. Or on a specialised kind of magazine. Yes, I'm all for that. Well,
but you have some cheeky fun in Belgium, don't you?
Yes, we have.
I saw Eurotrash. There was a singer called Willie.
Yeah, but not on the newspaper. That's the thing. What's that all about? You see? That's my point. So anyway, that's what I think. Get rid of them. Thank you.
Oh, ring us again, please.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Can I just give you my personal mobile number? Hello?
That's a no.
Hello? What did she say is not
Was I confusing Wally with Eddie Wally?
I'm not sure. Katya, just make your point one more time, please.
So boobs is not news.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad we've got that. She used to phone me a lifetime ago. I'm talking like 6-7 years ago. And her English has improved so much.
I was thinking of Eddie Wally. Not Willie.
What are you talking about? I've got no idea what you're talking about now.
The guy from Eurotrash.
Right.
The voice of Europe's name was Eddie Wally. Nothing to do with Willie. I don't know why I was thinking about that.
Oh, dearie me. Thank you, Katya. How delightful to... Yes, if you live in another region, you can call us, but you have to meet very high standards. They were set there. 08459 455 555.
So boobs is not news.
OK.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, the M1 looking very busy in patches heading south from around junction 12, the Toddington and Flitwick turn, now to just after 9, the turn for the A5. The A1M still very slow southbound from around junction 9 now, Letchworth down to 7, Stevenage. The bit around sort of Welling Hatfield just busy now, that's eased quite a bit. The delays there originally caused by a breakdown. M25 very slow anti-clockwise in patches from junction 21A at St Albans round to 15, the turn for the M4. Got the usual build-up of traffic on the A5 south through Marquis 8. There are delays building up a little bit on the A4146 as well, heading towards Leighton Buzzard. Centre of Hitchin looking pretty busy. Harpenden on the A5 looking a tad busy too. Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. What fun we're having this morning. I hope you enjoyed that last call as much as we did. Lots to talk about. Should we be covering the front pages of newspapers to protect our kids? Oh, and a little tip for Barry.
So boobs is not news.
Got it, Barry?
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock, I'm Barry Caffrey. The headlines: counter-terrorism campaign launched, NHS workers go on strike, and greatest day for Lewis Hamilton.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
New measures designed to counter what security officials say is the increasing threat of terrorist attacks in Britain will be outlined in a speech by the Home Secretary Theresa May this morning. Yesterday, Britain's most senior officer, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Bernard Hogan-Howe, disclosed that 4 or 5 plots had been foiled this year. Peter Nehrude is the former Chief Constable of Thames Valley Police. He says people need to be extra vigilant.
You have to think about the type of places that are potentially vulnerable. So, the very obvious one at this time of year, in the run up to Christmas, is going to be the big public spaces, town centres and shopping centres.
Health workers, including midwives, nurses and paramedics, have gone on strike. It's the second walkout in the past 2 months. Some non-emergency operations will be cancelled, but health unions have agreed contingency plans to stop emergency care being affected. Christina McAnea from the union Unison explained what form the disruption would take.
Elective operations will be cancelled, outpatient clinics will be cancelled for those 4 hours. There'll be no radiography services, so midwifery appointments will be cancelled, but midwives will still be delivering babies. So there'll be fewer nurses around on wards. There may be more management having to do services. There'll be people not answering phones. There will be nobody taking appointments.
Thames Valley Police are launching a weapons amnesty this morning. People can hand in illegally held guns and ammunition without facing prosecution. A similar amnesty ended in Hertfordshire last week with nearly 200 weapons handed in. 2 of the UK's leading supermarkets are to change the way they display newspapers because of fears about children being exposed to sexual content. Tesco said its in-store news cubes would be redesigned so that only the newspaper mastheads can be seen, while Waitrose has announced it will change its displays to remove some front pages from children's lines of vision. Louisa de Beaufort is a mum from Hertfordshire and a spokesperson for the charity Child Eyes. She says what is on display at the moment is clearly not suitable.
This is about protecting children. That's what this is about, protecting children. And it's sending very strong messages back to the newspapers to say, actually, there are some environments, not many, but a supermarket might be one, an environment that should be family friendly. You're trawling around with your children. You haven't got time to have conversations about the headlines that are often about rape, about not positive things about sex, but kind of really problematic things.
Lewis Hamilton hailed the greatest day of his life after winning the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to secure a second Formula One world title. The Mercedes man finished the season 67 points clear of his title rival and teammate Nico Rosberg in what he admitted had been a campaign of highs and lows. And the weather dry and sunny later after the frosty start this morning. Maximum temperatures of 8 Celsius. That's 46 in Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
From 9.
The JVS Show.
With the big phone in, the hottest topic of the day and your consumer problems.
From 12.
Nick Coffer.
Colourful local guests with great stories to tell and fantastic music for your afternoon.
From 3.
Roberto Peroni.
I'm here with a roundup of the day's news, the latest travel and your stories.
From 6.
Three Counties Sport.
With a look back at the weekend's action and taking a look at the grassroots sport across beds, hearts and bucks.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's my radio show. it's my radio show. You can get... You know that wasn't the song that I was singing whilst... anyway. Morning, guys. Morning, Catherine.
Hi.
Kenny Betts has gone to make the cough. So, why don't you tell me what is on the show for the last hour of it?
For the last hour of the show, we're going to be talking about this Counter-Terrorism Week. We're being asked to spot terrorist activity.
Yes.
How do you spot a terrorist?
Yes.
What do they look like?
Yeah.
That's a question
What do
we're
they
asking.
smell like? What do they feel like? What do they do?
If you can answer any of those questions, you shouldn't be ringing us, you should be ringing the Counter-Terror Squad.
Yes. What other bits and pieces? The Tesco thing. Brilliant story. A campaign group, the Child's Eyes, have campaigned, along with others, to get Tesco to cover up the front pages of their newspapers, because some of them are mucky.
Yeah.
And we had a really interesting lady from the campaign group come on. She was the first person to swear on this show in a year.
She's mortified.
She was mortified. It was the funniest thing. She's talking about protecting our children, then she drops a swear word.
She was trying to prove just how shocking some of the front pages are. She did. She did.
One thing we've certainly learnt this morning is...
So boobs is not news.
08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
We'll talk about the terrorism story in a little bit. It would be remiss of me not to mention the big story at the weekend. Well, it wasn't the biggest story at the weekend, but it should have been. So it's now looking more and more likely that there is a cover-up somewhere amongst the police, almost definitely amongst the police and amongst MPs regarding the fact that at least... Well, there are accusations flying around that an MP, at least one MP, has murdered at least one child in a sex game. And these, what started off like a conspiracy theory, well, it was a conspiracy theory. It's taking more and more shape, and it's growing more and more, picking up more and more momentum. And again, was only the front page of one newspaper, I think, The People. And I'm just thinking, I've looked through I've looked through some of the papers today, and I've not spotted it anywhere. There's now, I've just clicked on a link online, there's now a former copper coming out saying, well, yeah, we kind of knew about this, but we were told not to investigate
There was
it.
a tiny bit in one of the newspapers talking about what Theresa May had said over the weekend, and she'd said that the sexual abuse claims were the tip of the iceberg. And there's another MP, Tom Watson, who's been calling for more transparency in this one.
The thing is, I kind of tweeted about this at the weekend and sort of regretted it an hour later when I turned my phone on and saw it had been retweeted by about 110 people. Not because I was fearful, because I'm part of the BBC and apparently... But it was getting picked up by loads of right-wing groups, UKIP and further right-wing groups, and I couldn't quite work it out. And some people were saying, hey, well done for tweeting, for questioning this. And some people were saying, you're all part of the BBC media. You're part of it. You're part of the conspiracy. So I deleted it, and then I became an even bigger part of the conspiracy, because apparently I was going to lose my job if I did all this nonsense.
But that's just as ridiculous as saying every single special branch copper knew about it and every single MP knew about it. Some people know more than they've let on.
I do wonder, though, why it's not a bigger story. The fact that an MP might have killed a kid in a sex game. Why is that not...
How do we prove it?
Well, how do we prove it? But more and more people are coming forward now to say, yeah... I know about this. It's going to break at some point. This story's going to break, and names will be mentioned. Once names, some names are out in the public domain already, but once, I'm just surprised that it's not a bigger story. I'm really disappointed that the BBC haven't picked up on it. And is it partly to do with the BBC is scared because of Jimmy Savile? They're now running scared because of Cliff Richard, because Cliff Richard is now threatening to sue the BBC for the coverage of that story. So... I don't know. I'm disappointed that the BBC isn't making bigger of this, isn't making anything of this. Anyway, 08459 455 555. I felt I had to get off my chest. Have we got some texts?
We have...
Should we do a couple of texts and then we'll go into the terrorist story?
Well...
Or should we come back to the texts? Are there any we can read?
Well, we've got this one, and I know what you're going to say.
Oh.
Right, Lisa in Leighton Buzzard said, I know you don't do shout-outs, but please could you wish my husband Alan good luck for his first day in his new job?
Nope.
We all had a rubbish night's sleep as our daughter was poorly, so he didn't leave in the best of moods.
Nope.
No.
We cannot do that. We don't do big ups. What's his name?
He is Alan.
Well, I'm sorry, Alan, but no. It's not my problem, mate.
Hope you have a good day and all that, but,
That's it. That was almost a shout-out, what you did there, Catherine.
Well, I wish everyone a good day.
I suppose so. Yeah, I wish everyone... Well, not everyone a good day. Dave from Luton.
No, I
hope his day is cursed.
No.
Yes. I'm putting a hex... I'm doing juju on his day now.
Don't.
Hex.
Don't. You have to fill out forms for that.
Oh, blimey. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, counter-terrorism police have launched a new campaign this morning to encourage the great British public to be their eyes and their ears. They want businesses, shopkeepers and you to keep an eye out for terrorists. Is it going to work? Joining me now is counter-terrorism expert Simon Trundle. Simon, is this not just going to create paranoia and more suspicion against certain communities?
Not necessarily. It's worked in the past, so why shouldn't it work again?
When has it worked in the past? What examples are there?
70s, 80s and 90s, where we had the main terrorist threat was from Northern Ireland terrorism and Irish Republican sources, and people gave very, very valuable intelligence which led to seizures of weapons, explosives and prevention of terrorist acts.
It did create resentment and division, and that was slightly different, I would imagine. Well, it's a tough one, isn't it? They were different terrorists then, weren't they?
Oh, well, terrorists are terrorists. There were still people say, they were the good old terrorists who would merely plant a bomb and then go away and give a warning and then blow up part of Bishopsgate. But they were still terrorists. That's not
to mean what they did. Of course not. They were awful, awful people. But you didn't have the cult of the suicide bomber, did you? So what are we supposed to be looking for now? A dark bloke with a beard carrying a rucksack?
I think that's quite offensive for you to say that, because that's the same profiling that went on. I remember myself in the 80s and 90s being stopped because I was Irish. I mean, come on, be serious about this. I know Simon, you have a nice breakfast morning program,
Simon, I am being serious. Yeah. What are we supposed to be looking for?
What we call activity that looks suspicious, something out of the ordinary, somebody delivering goods to a garage lockup in the early hours of the morning, people you don't know in your neighbourhood coming back to a garage lockup. Simple things like that in the past led to detection of terrorist activity. We're not asking you to radically profile everybody who's got a slightly darker skin than you and a beard. We're asking you to look for the stuff that it just doesn't seem right, and the police will be very glad to receive your report, because 9 times out of 10 it'll mean nothing, but maybe actually that one time it will mean something. It'll add to a picture of growing intelligence and help prevent an attack.
You were slightly dismissive of my comment, which I think is a little bit unfair, because there will be people listening to this who think that we are combating primarily Islamic terrorism. That's what this is about, and they have an idea of what those terrorists look like. And there's already a lot of suspicion towards the Muslim community. Isn't this going to make things worse?
Only if we react in that way. The reality is that there are plenty of, if you want to put it into skin colour and ethnicity, there are plenty of people who are from white British backgrounds who've now been drawn to fundamentalism.
You and I know that. You and I know that, Simon. But there will be some people who already look at dark people with beards with suspicion already. And now the police are saying we need to keep an eye out for terrorists. Well, they're going to view those people even more suspiciously, aren't they?
There will be a few people who will do that. There's no doubt about it. But we're not asking, particularly, this call out for help, this call out to join in what's called Contest, the Counter-Terrorism Strategy for Countering Terror, the United Kingdom Strategy for Countering Terrorism, and Project Griffin, where we train up security guards at public venues to be vigilant and to know what to look for. That's all wonderful, but this call is primarily made to our communities, whether it is a Muslim community, whether it is a white British community, whether it is a whatever community. It's look in your own community, because you know what is normal activity and you know what is out of place. And if you see somebody acting out of place, or if you hear people speaking in terms of radical terms, in terms of attacking, in terms of taking the fight up against others, then that's the call out to that community, just as it was to the Irish community in the 70s and 80s.
So this is aimed at the Muslim community?
It's not only aimed at the Muslim community, but certainly the Muslim community has already said itself, the leaders of the Muslim community have said, we need to police our own community. We need to not allow actions to take place, not allow people to radicalise our youth. We need to be on the side of the law in countering radicalisation.
Isn't all this stuff going on already? If people see something suspicious, they would call the police. If Muslims believe that someone is being radicalised, they would call the police. Why do we need a campaign?
Well, I suppose the campaign week is to heighten awareness, and look what it's doing. It's putting
or scare people.
It's putting a few minutes past 8 o'clock in the morning, when you've got plenty of other stories, you're actually talking about this, which is good, because it means that the message gets out. Radio has an important...
Yeah, well, I think we're scared enough already. I mean, if you look at what's happening and you read the reports from Sir Bernard Hogan-Howe at the weekend, whereas in a typical annual 12-month period we'd be dealing with one disruptive terrorist attack, we're now dealing with 5 already this year, and that number is going to grow. I'm afraid we're in a scary time, and the only way we'll do it is to stick together, report what you feel is suspicious activity, add to the intelligence that's gathered, and let's see if we can work together to defeat this.
You've got to go at me being flippant. You've just something that will actually upset people. You've said we're living in a scary time. That's kind of a big thing just to throw out there. I don't think we're living in a particularly scary time, and it's not a particularly helpful message to get out there, is it? That's going to worry people.
I think if people think everything's going to be rosy, then they don't play a part in it. I'm not trying to terrorise anybody. That's the job of the terrorists. I'm not trying to frighten people. I'm just simply saying that we are now expending more police and security resources on trying to counter a threat which we've never had to counter before.
Simon, thank you very much indeed. Simon Trundle, counter-terrorism expert. He's right, we do have a nice breakfast show here. Thank you for noticing that. We're living in scary times. I'd never say anything like that. I don't think I would. Because, well, I don't think it's true. We're living in times, but scary times? I don't think that's a helpful statement at all. And there will be some people thinking, well, this campaign is designed to subjugate and the people by creating fear and suspicion. Yeah, if you see something suspicious, then of course you'd report it to the police. I don't think we're living in scary times.
I don't think you can carry on living like that. I don't think you can walk around the streets being frightened all the time. That's doing the job of the terrorist, isn't it?
You heard Simon's thoughts there. Are we living in scary times? Is that phrase like that sit comfortably with you? 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, thankfully, I'm not aware of any accidents. We've got delays on all of the usual routes. The M1 certainly very busy southbound in patches, particularly as you approach and pass Junction 11. The A505 Luton and Dunstable turn. The A5 is queuing north up into Hotcliffe now as you head away from Dunstable. The A505 looks a little bit busy east into Dunstable, then very slow on the eastbound side going into Hitchin. The A602 north into Hitchin also very slow. Then the A1M looks very slow south past Junction 8 down to 7. The two Stevenage turns, that looking very busy this morning. And then there's a bit northbound around the Welling area that looks very slow as well. M25 very slow in patches anti-clockwise, junctions 21A to 15, so from St Albans round to the M4. Centre of St Albans looking rather busy as well. Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
8:17. It's Monday the 24th of November. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC. New measures designed to tackle the threat of terrorist attacks in Britain will be outlined in a speech by the Home Secretary this morning. Thames Valley Police are launching a weapons amnesty this morning. People can hand in illegally held guns and ammunition without facing prosecution.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I don't need a second-hand car.
Are you taking the mickey out of my luxury coat?
You're either selling cars or you're going to a car boot sale or you've got a new job on a... Oh, you're doing...
It could just be winter.
Are you doing that thing where you do like a normal person's job and you go and work in a market stall selling hooky DVDs? Is that what you're doing today? Or have you got a job as a bouncer at the newly relaunched Bling nightclub? What's going on with you?
Do you not like my coat? I'm wearing a coat today, ladies and gentlemen, while I talk to Iain.
He's wearing a scarf and a big puffer jacket.
It's not a puffer jacket.
You look like a skinhead from about 1981.
A skinhead?
You've had a nice little trimmage.
Oh yeah, thanks for noticing. So have you.
Thank you for noticing. Yeah. And you look like trouble.
Oh.
You look like ladies. You should watch out. And look, there could be a punch up at the bus stop later on.
Yeah. Don't mess with me or I'll have you.
Why are you wearing a coat indoors?
Well, because I'm going outdoors literally seconds after you and I have spoken.
What are you doing?
I'm going to collect luxury bacon sandwiches for my team.
He's doing a round. He's doing a breakfast round.
No, I'm afraid
your orders in.
I'm afraid they're already ordered.
I will have a sausage and bacon baguette.
That is so nice of Jonathan to do that for his team.
Fried egg roll, please.
The presenter to do that.
Right, Kelly, you've come about this completely the wrong way.
Fried egg roll, please.
Smidge ketch.
2 fried egg rolls.
No ketch.
One with ketch, one without ketch, and I'll have a bacon and sausage baguette, the long one with ketch.
I'll make sure that they're all ready for you at 9 o'clock this morning.
Thanks, Jivs. Do you need an extra member on your team?
You'd like to join my team,
He's got
Kelly?
quite a few members on his team already. No names, no pack drill, but Laura and Tim. Oh, I said the names.
Oh.
And Danny.
And Danny.
Danny's not a tool. What?
What are you talking about?
What do you mean?
What's on your show, Jonathan?
Yeah, I was going to say, can we hurry up with this? Because I've got bacon sandwiches to collect.
And fried egg roll.
On the, we've got one of those for Laura. Do you think most pensioners need the winter fuel allowance? The Liberal Democrat business minister, Jo Swinson, wants the government to stop paying the winter fuel allowance to well-off pensioners, apparently. She argues that in this time of austerity, it's hard to justify giving £300 a year to people who could live without it. Instead, Jo Swinson argues the money that we would save could be used to give young people cheaper bus fares instead. Speaking at the Scottish Liberal Democrat conference, she suggested a shake-up of winter fuel payments would be part of her party's election manifesto.
Why are we giving it to young people so they can get the bus? That seems an odd thing to replace it with.
Don't lots of young people need the bus?
Yeah, but
to get to work, they're helping hand to get started.
So we
in
take
life.
the money off the elderly and give it to people to get on the bus. Look at you trying to work out the logic behind this nonsense.
No, but it's true, isn't it?
There are people more deserving than people that want to get the bus.
But there are lots of young people out there who have just... Why are you laughing? This is true.
I was kind of with it until the alternative was we help young people get the bus. What, so they can go and hang out at the shopping centre and smoke dope?
No, so they can get out there and go and find a job. That's what it's to do with.
I said dope.
Isn't it a reality that there are lots of pensioners? Have you ever been in a Marks and Spencer food hall? I mean, I can't afford to do my big shop in M&S. It's full of pensioners.
That should be the test. If you're in the M&S buying food,
exactly. Exactly. If you have done your food shopping in the last month in M&S, you shouldn't get the winter fuel payment.
I've got a theory about M&S and pensioners.
Go on. What's that?
Well, they've gone through the war. They're never going to eat that stuff again. It's like the Scarlett O'Hara thing. I'll never eat spam again. I'm going to M&S for a tinned ham.
Yeah, they had no bananas at one point.
If you are a pensioner who has a car, do you still need the winter fuel allowance?
Wow.
From 9 this morning, we're going to debate all of this. Do you think most pensioners need the winter fuel allowance? 08459 455 555. And if we're going to take the winter fuel allowance away from some pensioners, should we give it to young people instead to have free bus travel?
No, we should. Is the bus thing real?
Yes, I'm not making it up. That is what Jo Swinson, that's what she wants.
Oh, dear.
She's the Liberal Democrat business minister.
Well, she can say any old rubbish because she knows that she's never going to get a job.
She's got a job.
She won't have it for much longer, the way they're going.
Oh.
Every weekday from 12, Nick Coffer brings you...
The wickedly funny Anne on Strictly Come Dancing. Do you know who the real Anne is?
Great guests.
Yes, the real Anne is an amalgam of all these things. We're all multifaceted.
Jasper Carrot's career spans 5 decades.
And then you had to wear a bow tie and you had to do jokes about silly Irishmen and mother-in-laws.
John Cleese is eating his microphone, aren't you, John Cleese?
Great music.
He's bonkers.
In fact, I don't even think it had the horn part then.
Great conversations.
I always have said throughout my career, you get me on board, I'll give you 100%.
Have you still got it, Billy Ocean?
Well, the audience seems to think I have.
Nick Coffer, weekdays from 12 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Quite a bit of reaction to terrorism expert Simon Trundle on Twitter. I can't really read much of it. Carpet Martin says, quoting Simon, "I'm not here to terrorise anyone. That's the job of the terrorist." Carpet Martin says, "Which terrorist, Simon? Where is he, damn it?" And Scott is on top form today. But, Scott, I cannot read any of the things you've sent me this morning. I really can't. It's unfair.
Just imagine them. Let's all just have a few minutes just to imagine what Scott might be saying. And then add a little bit more offensiveness. And you're probably quite close to the truth.
Bit more than that, actually. A little bit more
What
than
he said
that.
there.
Yeah.
Oh.
We got any texts before we go to Justin? We're stalling Justin. We're teasing them, Justin.
Yeah, do it.
We've not really got any texts you want to hear.
Oh. Are they slagging me off?
Couple.
Give us one. Go on.
Oh no, and there's this one from Mark in Bedford. I'll let you know what some of the rude ones are.
Okay, just
This is
one.
from Paul.
Just one.
Why do we now have to turn on the radio station we like and listening to you ranting and shouting because you think you're always correct? You ask for people's opinions and shout over them constantly. I'm sure I'm not the only person who thinks this. Calm it and start listening without the aggression. You're not always right.
Well, two things. Yeah, I am, which proves that you're wrong. And secondly, when have I done that this morning? I don't think I've done that this morning. Have I? Kath, I'm talking. I don't think I've done that. Not one point have I spoken over anybody and said that argued that I am right and they're wrong.
There was a bit when... Yeah,
Sorry?
Yeah.
Just button it.
No, because...
Give us another. Who is that loser?
Paul,
you're banned. Next.
Just to let everyone know, says Mark in Bedford, I sometimes go to my lock-up in the early hours due to the fact that I keep my sound system in there, and after doing a gig I put it back. I may look shifty because I'm trying to hide the fact it's in there so no one nicks it. Extremists use the internet to talk to each other so they don't meet each other in the middle of the night in a lock-up. Just so you know. Cheers, Mark in Bedford.
He's got a point, don't they? They have, like, WhatsApp. I bet terrorists use WhatsApp. A, it's free for the first year.
Yeah.
And B, it is instant. And C, you can send, like, blueprints and addresses.
Don't tell them that.
Oh. Just, have you seen any terrorists acting out this morning?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay.
Not so far this morning, but of course the morning is early yet.
Because the thing is, all right, we're looking for suspicious activity. There's this weird orange fella that runs around at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, pushing a stick in people's faces.
Yeah. Well, how do you know, though, that I'm a terrorist but by saying that I'm orange?
Sorry?
Do you see what I'm saying?
Am I racially stereotyping you?
You are, absolutely.
Yeah.
Orange suits maybe, but not orange skin.
Not... Wow, look at him making a political statement.
Absolutely.
Dealey, what you got for us?
We've been talking about Tesco this morning. Lots of reaction coming in about this, and I think it's such a weird idea. So from next year, at the moment, some of the naughty magazines, they're covered up anyway in Tesco. This morning, I tried to buy Zoo magazine. It took me 5 minutes to find it. It's the Jodie Marsh special this month. But the idea from next year is that they're going to be covering up all of the front pages of the newspapers, just in case children may see something which is just, say, sexual. I think it's madness. I've been on the streets this morning getting reaction. Again, it's one-way traffic here, boss. Here's what people had to say.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Children will see what they want to see. They don't always notice the front pages of a newspaper anyway. So I just think it's ridiculous. I don't buy a newspaper. I don't even look at the front pages. I'm going into Tesco now and I'll walk through. I won't look at the front pages.
Why don't you buy a newspaper?
Because I read it online.
Modern day world, of course. So, in your experience of having children or grandchildren, they've never ever said to you, what's that on the front page? Why is that woman half naked?
No, I just think it's ridiculous. I think we overprotect children these days, personally, in a lot of ways.
You're with your young child this morning. Do you think there's anything wrong with those front pages?
No, nothing at all.
Is it a complete and utter overreaction?
Yes, it is.
So never have you been into a Tesco's or any newsagent and your son here has said to you, oh, Mum, what's that on the front there?
No, never. I've not had any problems at all. I don't see what is wrong with the front page being on show.
Even if there's a lady in underwear? A bit sexy?
Good luck to her. If she wants to be on the front page, good luck to her.
And you've got no problem with your son seeing that?
No, none at all. Part of nature.
Here's somebody who's actually buying a newspaper. What do you think about this idea of covering up the front pages to protect children's eyes?
Ridiculous.
Anything else to add?
No, thank you.
So, as a parent, Tesco's are going to be covering up the front pages of the newspapers just in case there's anything a bit, let's say, sexual on there. What do you think about that? As a parent, have your children ever said to you, Daddy, what's that on the front page of that newspaper?
No, I don't question things, to be fair. The thing is, you can't really cover things up too much, can you? They've got to grow up and learn things themselves. But, you know, if the thing is they're children, they're going to be curious. They might just ask me, and then you just have to be honest with them and tell them, you know, this is what it is. You know, you can't... It's a way of the world nowadays.
Yeah.
You know,
you can't hide life, can you? You can't hide what's going on forever.
No, that's it. So you just have to deal with it and, you know, just pray to God they don't do the same thing when they're older.
You can't hide life, but you can hide nipples.
Yes.
You know, and that it's good that fella's kids don't ask questions. We don't want our kids asking questions, do we? That would be awful.
Listen, I've been into a newsagent this morning. I've looked at every single front page. that there is not a nipple on display on any of the front pages.
I don't think you're allowed to show them anymore.
No.
Well, I don't get this story. I don't understand why Tesco's are doing it. Yes, they've had some bad press recently. Are they trying to get a few brownie points? This will make absolutely no difference to cover the front page of our national newspapers. It's utterly ridiculous. And people on the streets agree.
Take a breath, just.
Do you know
people on the streets agree.
No, there we
Do
go.
you know what might happen?
Go on.
If they know that the front page is going to be covered up, newspapers can go to town. They can put whatever they want on there.
Yeah, but then again...
What next?
Why do we need boobs and bums on the front page? Why do we need it?
Because
we don't need it. But if you're going to put it, right, if you're going to do it, we know the start, you get a bit of what's it, and in the sport you get a load of what's it. Put it inside. Put it inside. Don't put it on the front page.
But why?
Simple.
Because people will go into, I don't know, they're going to a newsagent. They're not going to be covering them up, are they? It's going to be too much expense for them
put
to
it on
do
the
that.
inside. The papers should take responsibility for their sword, and I love the Star, but take responsibility and put them on the inside.
Yeah, but while they don't, we can't pretend it's not happening, otherwise nothing will change.
It's happening, it's out there, and, you know, those sort of images on the front pages of newspapers, they sell papers.
Well, the one thing that we've learnt today is...
So boobs is not new.
Thank you, Katia.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, if you were wanting to nip down the M1 this morning, it's looking very busy in patches from around junction 12, the Toddington and Flitwick turn down to 9, the turn for the A5, but it's eased how it was earlier on. The A1M still very slow southbound towards and past the Stevenage turns, really, junction 8 to 7, kind of halfway back to 9 Letchworth. M25's been very slow anti-clockwise in patches from 21A round to 15, so from St Albans round to the M4. Thankfully, I'm not aware of any accidents. The A5 looking very busy on the southbound side, coming down the bit going into Dunstable, northbound up to Hotcliffe, looking rather slow, and also still delays around Hitchin, particularly on the A602 heading out of Hitchin towards the sort of A1 area. Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30 with the headlines. I'm Barry Caffrey. New measures designed to counter what security officials say is the increasing threat of terrorist attacks in Britain will be outlined in a speech by the Home Secretary Theresa May this morning. Yesterday, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner disclosed that 4 or 5 plots had been foiled earlier this year. Some health workers are going on strike this morning in a second round of industrial action in a dispute over pay. They're unhappy about a decision to give them either a 1% pay rise or an annual increment, but not both. Thames Valley Police are launching a weapons amnesty this morning. People can hand in illegally held guns and ammunition without facing prosecution. And the weather, dry and sunny today, but it will feel cold with maximum temperatures of 8 Celsius. That's 46 in Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hertfordshire's Lewis Hamilton hailed the greatest day of his life after winning the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to secure a second Formula One world title. The Mercedes man finished the season 67 points clear of his title rival and teammate Nico Rosberg in what he admitted had been a campaign of ups and downs.
I think Spa was even lower than Silverstone, but it had a different kind of impact on me. You know, when you make the mistake, it's a painful feeling in a different way. Obviously, when it's not your fault and you lose out, then it's painful because it's not. You feel helpless. You know, you're kind of kicking yourself when you make the mistake. And obviously in Silverstone, that's what I was doing. I went home and came back the next day. The support was phenomenal.
The Liverpool manager Brendan Rodgers has accepted responsibility after a 3-1 defeat away at Crystal Palace. Liverpool are now 18 points behind Premier League leaders Chelsea. Rodgers admits his side are lacking experience but refused to blame them.
Players finding their feet here playing for Liverpool and then maybe not getting the results. To give you that confidence, especially if you have a new player coming in, then it can be difficult. But as I said, it's my responsibility, you know, to put a team out that can win, and at the minute I'm not doing that.
Elsewhere, Tottenham have moved into the top half of the table after they came from behind to beat 10-man Hull 2-1. There's one game in the Premier League this evening as Aston Villa host second-placed Southampton. Watford lost for the third match in a row in the Championship, going down 2-1 to league leaders Derby. MK Dons are up to 4th in League 1 as they beat Port Vale. Wickham moved back to the top of League 2 above Luton as the Chairboys beat Cheltenham. The Hatters lost at Burton. And Stevenage boss Graham Westley was unhappy with some of his fans as they lost 1-0 at Northampton on Saturday. Westley was frustrated with how some of the away supporters reacted.
There were a couple of guys who were being very rude, insulting them. I've got family who sit there and, they're being very rude, obscene and talking to me in a disgusting way. So I went across to them to remind them that they need to be respectful, and I hope the people responsible are made to pay for it.
In rugby union, Bedford were beaten by Cornish Pirates in the Championship yesterday by 65 points to 14. BBC Three Counties Radio News and Sport. I'll be back with a full bulletin at 9 o'clock.
If you hear a whisper, give us a shout.
Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
So, quick recap. How do you solve a problem like terrorism? How do you spot a terrorist? We're supposed to be dobbing them in, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking out for. Should we cover the front pages of newspapers? I do think it's bad that the front page of newspapers that we won't see the headlines. Surely if there is a problem newspaper, then that should be folded over. But to not see the headlines is poor show, guys. Poor show.
Or regulate what's on the front pages of the newspapers. We can do that, can't we?
We can't. No, we.
There is a press regulator.
Yeah, that's run by. The press.
Okay.
You see the flaw in their system? And we did talk about leaving your kids in cars, but no one's phoned in about it, so we'll let that one go.
Marie wants to talk about the covered-up pages on the texts.
Go on, Marie.
If parents are too lazy to explain these things to their children... Oh, yeah, one of my gang. If parents are too lazy to explain these things to their children, then they'll be too lazy to fix the parental controls on children's computer tablets and TVs, so they'll see them anyway. It's not up to the supermarkets to censor things for our children. Bang on, Marie.
I'm so surprised that you think this, Catherine. I don't want my children seeing...
I'm a feminist, right? And I think that it's awful that they're on the front pages of the newspapers.
Right.
But let's not pretend they're not. Let's be outraged that they are and do something about it.
Yeah, and let's change it. Let's change the culture so that becomes unacceptable.
And if my daughters see it, it allows us to have a conversation about how some women make money out of being sexualised by men.
What? It's not my fault. Now you're turning it on me. It's not my fault that these women have got no other options.
They have got other options.
Well, then, but it's not my fault. Why are you turning this on me? That's clever, and I'm stopping it now. I'm stopping it. You can't... I'm the right one here, and you're turning this round on me, saying it's my problem because I'm a man and I'm making them do it.
You're not making them do it.
Exactly. They're doing it of their own free will.
They're caught up in a system...
No!
Which is run by middle-aged men.
No!
Who think it's okay
That's
to have
me!
Tammy, 19, from Birmingham... showing her boobies.
How do you know about Tammy? You're not turning this on me, Catherine. I don't think they should be on the front pages, so let's change the system that allows them to be on the front pages.
Yep.
Remember that text we had about Iain shouting over everyone?
Yeah, but don't cover it up. Let the outrage begin, because that's the way to change the system.
I am outraged. I like what they do in Saudi Arabia with British newspapers. They put tape over the rude bits.
That will take ages.
Yeah.
For every newspaper.
That's what they do.
Imagine the poor guy who's got to do that. He's subjected to so much filth.
Is that one person's job?
Yeah, totally.
What do? I tape up boobs.
Tesco are right to cover the front pages, says Steve. They need protecting from the moronic, offensive tripe that is the Daily Mail. Will somebody think of the children?
Right, OK. Is anyone going to make a sensible point, i.e. one that agrees with me?
Martha.
Good morning, Martha.
Good morning.
What have you got for us, my dear?
Well, I listen to Three Counties every morning.
Thank you so much.
The thing is...
Yes.
Sex is everywhere. Even on a telly, in the middle of the newspapers, on Celebrity Get Me Out of Here. And my young grandson was reading a book the other day, and he's 13.
Yeah.
And my daughter's had the schools told her to teach him about sex. And he said to her, she gets questions like, the other day, Ma'am, what's a blowjob? And then, what does two men do?
Okay.
And he's 13-year-old. He can't even put the telly on.
He can't even put the telly on!
Listen!
Martha, right, listen, I guess because you said a phrase there that we're not really allowed to say on the breakfast radio. This is the second apology in a day. But
this is freedom of speech. I'm only telling you what.
No, I know, but we can't say that you said a two-word phrase that we so apologies if anyone's offended, and I hope it's not caused awkward conversations, but the 13-year-old grandson can't even turn on the telly. Well, if he knows how to do that, he won't need to turn the telly on, will he?
He doesn't know how to do. That's the thing.
Right.
It's disgusting no matter where you look, what. Even in Get Me Out of Here. What? Standing on that shower, half naked.
Yeah.
You frightened your child's going to see it.
But people shower naked, don't they?
Yeah, but not in front of millions on a screen. A child could be sitting watching that.
Well, it's on quite late, Celebrity, isn't it?
Sorry?
Isn't Celebrity on quite late? I don't watch it myself.
No, it's on several times.
Yeah, are all those times quite late?
No.
What time is it on?
Well, it's on about 3 times in the evening.
And what time?
I'm not really sure, but I watch it now and again.
They asked me to do that. Can you believe it? You'd like to see me shower naked, wouldn't you, Martha?
God.
Is that a yes?
No, thank you very much. I've seen that and done that, so I'm not interested.
Oh, you're not Martha in Milton Keynes, are you?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't make the connection. Nice to hear from you again. Why didn't you call me?
Oh, God, there's no talking to you, is there? You're always right. And then I listened to you a while ago, and you were ranting at that lady. It's not my fault, not my fault.
Which lady?
Oh, the one that made the call before me.
That was Catherine, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Would you rather talk to Catherine? Would that calm things down if you spoke to Catherine?
No, I wanted to speak to you. It's got nothing to do with Catherine.
Keep out of this, Catherine. Nothing to do with you.
Okay, I don't know why I'm being brought into this.
So I'm sorry about Catherine, Martha. She's bang out of order, isn't she?
I want to give you a slap.
Sorry?
I'd love to give you a slap.
You've brought sex into everything, haven't you? Martha, nice to talk to you. Lots of love.
All right.
Ta-ta.
Bye-bye.
There we go, you see? That was a confusing roller coaster of emotions, wasn't it? Up, down, all around, but I won around in the end. Yeah?
Are you talking about sex again?
Let's go to John in Milton Keynes. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Ian. I got a bone to pick with you, mate. A big one this morning.
Flippin' heck, here we go. Go on.
You know that Little Hobo, that theme tune you put on earlier on today?
Yes.
I remember watching that as a boy, and you know what? I was harking back to my boys as my days as a 9 or 10-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Happy moments, a happy dog running around, befriending everybody.
Yeah.
And we need a happy song on these cold winter days. And
yes.
It was going so well. The Little Hobo was on, the music was playing and everything, and I was thinking about this lovely dog walking around, and
all right, mate.
And then suddenly you had to ruin it. But at the end, you said next week the Little Hobo gets rabies.
You should have heard what was going through my head.
Do you know what? The last image I had of the littlest hobo was being petted by people, and then the next image that I had in my head after you said what you said was of, you know, that film Cujo. There was a massive St. Bernard, and he had rabies. He had rabies, right? And he's foaming at the mouth and everything. And I was thinking, no, that's terrible.
That was the last episode. That was the last episode of the Littlest Hobo. He got rabies and he had to be put down.
You're joking. No, I must have missed that episode then, because I just have happy memories.
Okay, I'll tell you what I do. I can negate that, John. Do you remember a programme called The Lost Islands?
The Lost Islands. I've heard of it. No, I didn't actually see any of it.
Well,
was
listen,
that a happy one?
It was a happy one. Shall I play the theme tune to that to try and lift you out of your funk?
Yeah, go on then. Yeah,
all right,
cheer
John.
me
This,
up.
this is for you, mate.
Down at the moment.
Here we go.
Was a wealthy man who had a wonderful idea to bring children from all places with all kinds of faces together into a sailing ship. There were 40 boys and girls. They would sail their ship around the globe, so they called it the United World. The ship was just 3 weeks from shore when a hurricane bore it down. The waves were big as mountains. Surely drown. They jumped into the lifeboats, rowed away from the wreck. They didn't count them, they hadn't time. 5 children were left behind. The children fought the storm all night, then finally fell asleep. They didn't realize the ship had been blown across a reef into the Lost Islands. Hiding in the bushes was a watchful pair of eyes, and living in the valley were people lost in time, ruled over by a tyrant whose face was in a mask. The children must defeat him so they can escape at last from the Lost Islands. The Lost Islands.
And unfortunately, all those children died on that island. John, is that better?
You know what? That was so good, but you almost repented yourself, but then you said that all the children died on the island.
Well,
so I think every morning now you can just play a happy song. Just play a happy song. If you're going to play a happy song, just don't say anything bad about it afterwards.
All right, calm down. How about
the
this?
The Littlest Hobo again tomorrow, I wouldn't go amiss.
OK, well, how about this? Hang on a second.
What a great idea! A shoe built on blocks. I'll call them... Blocker Boots. We'll sell 1 million. Blocker Boots, Blocker Boots, Blocker Boots, they're in fashion today. Blocker Boots are neat. They go with your feet. Blocker Boots are so high. They've made 1 million people buy. Blocker Boots, Blocker Boots, Blocker Boots, they're in fashion today. They're in your shops now. They're selling fast.
Unfortunately, loads of people broke their ankles wearing blocker boots, and the kids that set up that company were sent to prison for 25 years for corporate manslaughter.
So there was no happy ending to that one either?
No.
Oh, Ian, you're disappointing me. I really thought you'd repented yourself by playing the previous tune, and it was going to have a happy ending, a happy storyline.
Did I not repent for my disrepresentation then, with that repentance?
Well, it was going so well. I mean, you start off so well, Ian. You know, you start off so well, and then it just gets ruined again.
All right.
I mean, can you think of one?
John, last one for you. Here we go. This is a happy song. Here we go.
I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor. I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor. I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor, and I don't like it very much. Oh no, he swallowed my toe, he swallowed my toe. Oh gee, he's up to my knee, he's up to my knee. Oh fiddle, he's reached my middle, he's reached my middle. Oh heck, he's up to my neck, he's up to my neck. Oh dread, he swallowed my...
Is that better, John?
Well, you know what? It actually made me feel weird, even though it was a horrible...
It's a woman being eaten by a snake, and you think that's acceptable? Get out of here, you make me sick.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It made me laugh as well. I don't know what that says about me. The M1 is looking pretty busy southbound still. It's east of Lockdown was earlier, but it's still very busy southbound, particularly along that stretch from around junction 11, the A505, down to 9, the A5. Delays just off junction 11 as well on the A505, out looking very busy. A5 north into Hotcliffe still has a bit of a queue. A1M still queuing south from kind of halfway between junctions 9 and 8, the Letchworth to Stevenage turn, down to around 7, and then northbound just passing the Welling area. Looks very slow around junction 6. M25, there's a queue on the anti-clockwise side from junction 21A round to 16, which is St Albans to the M40. Clockwise just a little bit slow, 21A to 22, going from the St Albans turn towards London Coney. Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Russell. Is this the best show ever? I think it might be. We've got a blinding text I think we can read, but it's going to take a little bit of jiggery-pokery in more ways than one. 8:47, Monday the 24th of November. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. All this week, counter-terrorism bosses are appealing for the public's help to combat extremism. And some health workers have gone on strike this morning in a second round of industrial action in a dispute about pay. Coming up, more of your calls, 08 459 455 555. I'm just remembering what the old lady said. Martha and Milton Keynes. But before that, let's get the weather with Georgina.
Beds, hearts and bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello there, quite a chilly day today, so some fog and frost patches around this morning, but then it brightens up actually into quite a pleasant day with lots of sunny spells, staying largely dry and with light winds, so quite a relief after the weekend. Temperatures reaching about 8 degrees Celsius. It's a clear start to the evening, but then we've got more of that fog and frost developing, fairly widespread tonight as well. Temperatures down close to freezing, and tomorrow morning that fog is likely to linger, more in the way of cloud generally tomorrow anyway. There will be a few sunny spells, but particularly in the afternoon that cloud increases. And we've got outbreaks of rain coming up from the coast, but from the south coast, but probably not going to see those until after dark tomorrow, with temperatures up to about 8 degrees Celsius. Wednesday, we've got patchy rain continuing and more light rain and drizzle on Thursday, but it does look drier for Friday, but becoming more breezy. That's your latest forecast.
Thank you, Georgina.
Your world is full of the things that are most important to you.
Years now, the County Council's wondering if it can take the buses away too by building bus tunnels underneath.
From what's happening in the next street to what's happening in the next town.
The fire was at its peak at around 9 o'clock when there were 60 firefighters and 20 engines here.
You don't want to just know about it, you want to really understand it.
It's a busy road, this is, for cyclists. Do you think it should be a legal requirement that cyclists have to wear helmets?
Your local news matters on BBC Local Radio, TV and online.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is Iain Lee.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
Here's the text with the rude words taken out.
OK, this is from Sue in Welling Garden City.
Morning, Sue. You're a naughty lady, Sue. Very naughty lady.
My son at 7 years old asked his stepdad what, that thing that Marcia was referring to was.
Yeah.
Ask your mother was the reply, so he asked me. My reply, you know the clown who blows up balloons and makes animals and hats with them? Well, that's what it is. Quick thinking, huh?
That's his job, is it?
It is.
Blowing up balloons.
Yeah. Quick thinking. You see, that's what being a parent is all about. You've got to be thinking on your feet all the time.
The thing is, right, he's 7, but when he's like 17 or
You'll
20...
give him enough respect.
That is going to totally... What are you doing? You're not a clown!
Poodle.
Oh,
I could do a poodle and a sword.
I used to have to do a rabbit. Peter's in Walmer Green. Peter, what would you like to have a whinge about today?
Well, I was wondering whether when...
The bad language we've had on the show.
Oh, no, not at all. Well, I was going to talk about the pension, the money they're talking about pensioners don't need.
Oh, well, that's Jonathan's show.
Yes, well, that's the one I was told to speak on, basically.
Well, hang on a minute. This is what's going on here. Who's told you to speak on what, Peter?
Well, they're going to raise something about the pensioners not needing the money.
But that's on Jonathan's show.
Well, I'm sorry, but I've just been called to come on.
Wait, no, not about the pensioners, you haven't, Peter. What have we got him in on?
Peter, you rang us.
No. Then I've been wrong since, actually.
Well, that's not us. That's
another one.
We wanted you to talk about terror. You had some very insightful points to make.
We get all that. Listen, everybody that comes on our show, apart from Dennis and Dunstable, they've called us. Sometimes we call him just to make sure he's still breathing. You called us, Peter. Don't try and get us embroiled in some BBC scandal of pre-ringing callers.
Not at all. There's a subject about pensioners.
Yeah, and that's not us. Jonathan's talking about that.
No,
we haven't called you.
Well, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
You called us about terror, counter-terror.
Oh, yes, and you're talking about counter-terror. That's right.
Did you slip at the weekend or something? What's going on, Peter?
No.
I think this is the start of the decline for you.
When the police are talking about counter-terrorism, right?
Yeah.
You're first of all,
yes,
to see anything happening whatsoever, you just look for unusual behaviour.
For example, what's an unusual behaviour?
Well, if someone leaves a backpack or someone looking like they're doing something that's unusual.
Okay. But they don't leave backpacks now because it's the cult of the suicide bomber, so that's gone.
What about the horses they did?
Yeah, that was the IRA.
Well, it don't matter.
No, it does matter because the terrorists we got now, they don't leave backpacks. They wear them.
We're talking about looking for unusual behaviour.
For example.
Well, any sort of unusual.
For example.
Well, for instance, if you leave a car, if you leave a car, and you walk away from it straight away, leave it in an unusual place.
Hang on, if you leave a car and you walk away from it straight away, I think that's called parking.
An unusual place, I added.
Well, where would be an unusual place?
Well, it could be outside a station.
Well, but someone might be dropping someone off there.
Yes, but if you walk away from it, you're not.
Well, supposing there's someone who's helping out an invalid.
I'm just talking about unusual situations.
OK, so if you see someone parking outside a train station...
Yes.
What would you do?
Well, I would hesitate, but I would definitely, as the nearest policeman, I'd say that guy was probably acting suspiciously.
Why would you hesitate? Seconds could cost lives.
Well, I know, but you have to bear in mind. You've got to think about it.
Why?
Goodness gracious me! You're just saying why?
Why?
We're all human.
Why?
Well, no, not why we're human.
Oh, no, but okay. So someone parks. So that's a very specific incident. Someone parks a car outside a train station and walks away immediately. So they don't mess around. They don't, kind of wipe the mirror.
It's little incidents like that.
Yeah, that could cost lives.
It's little incidents like that, really.
Okay. And you would without hesitation, with hesitation, you would go up to a copper.
I'd probably go up to a copper and say, look, that guy's parked there, walked away immediately.
You're assuming there's a copper in the immediate vicinity, Peter?
Well, normally there is by train stations.
No. Are you stuck in 1973?
Maybe he means police stations.
No, I mean train stations.
He meant train stations.
Train stations.
I haven't seen a copper at a train station for I don't know when.
Well, go to Liverpool Street, go to King's Cross, you'll see one. I know they're very rare.
You can't park outside King's Cross.
Well,
so there's no point in a copper being there.
They're not going to bother if you're not allowed to park there, are they?
Flip it. So what train stations are at risk, according to you, Peter?
Well, I don't know. Generally,
don't give us a list, Peter. You're being suspicious.
Goodness
You're acting suspicious by rambling like a lunatic. Should I phone 101?
Well, if you like, but you probably won't get a reply because we're on strike.
Thank you very much,
So
Peter.
what time are you on Jonathan's show? I'll tune in.
Yeah, when are you going to be on Jonathan's show, Peter?
This morning.
Okay, we look forward to the weekend. I don't know. Listen, but people have complained that we're making light of terrorism. Well, do you know what? You kind of have to a little bit, don't you? Otherwise, because I was upset by the expert we had on who said we're living in scary times. No, we're not. People are only scared if experts, in inverted commas, say things like, we're living in scary times. I think we have to diffuse, there's an appropriate choice of word, you have to diffuse these situations. It would be so easy for this morning, for the three of us to scare old people, vulnerable people and kids by being really hard line on this. And, guys, we really need to keep an eye out because your next-door neighbour could be making bombs right now. Do you know what they're doing? But do you? But whenever we do a story like this, I'm always aware I don't want to scare people. I don't want to terrify. We're not living in scary times. We're living in turbulent times. We're living in strange times where politics and religious extremism are crossing paths. We're living in times when people do bad things. We're not living in scary times. We're not. The chance of you getting blown up by a bomb, so slim. They're so slim. You've got more chance of winning the lottery. You know, not to demean those people that it's happened to and those people it will happen to, but it really upsets me when we get experts coming on. We're living in scary times. I don't think you're taking this seriously. Oh, for goodness sakes, taking it very seriously.
People who really have witnessed suspicious activity know what it is, and you would think they would report it. It's this idea that it's making us be extra vigilant, extra suspicious of each other. That's what we're questioning, that's all.
Lewis Hamilton won a race, and he said it's the best day of his life. Bearing in mind, just remember, he slept with a pussycat doll, and he's saying driving fast is the best thing in his life. He's a local hero, but why are car driving people always so dull? Give me some examples, Ian. OK, Lewis Hamilton, Jenson Button, Nigel Mansell. Oh, I'm sure they're lovely. Well, I'm Nigel Mansell and I really did really well in that car race. I was driving very, very fast, you know. Oh, it scared me. I did a wee-wee.
I know exactly why they are slightly dull.
Do you mean a wheelie?
I did a wee-wheelie.
You don't want to do a wheelie in a Formula 1 car.
No.
I know why they're a bit dull.
Go on.
Because if you show any promise at that kind of sport from an early age, you're taken away from your books and your friends and you are made to go around and round in circles on tracks.
Have a guess.
That is not going to make you into a very interesting person.
Have a guess on how much Lewis Hamilton is worth.
I like Kath's views on life.
We're all worth a lot. We're all precious.
She's up on a tangent.
600 million.
No. Oh, it's always... It doesn't work if you guess too high.
Oh, sorry, fiver.
£68 million. It doesn't work. This thing, if you play the guessing game, you've always got to guess lower than it should be. Otherwise, you take away the thrill.
Not unless you're talking about a bargain.
What?
Not unless you're talking about a bargain.
What have you both been drinking in there?
Doesn't matter.
We're all precious. Just remember that. That's your thought for the day. Even you, Kelly.
Oh, well, thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, the M1 is still looking a little bit busy, but it isn't too bad today. But southbound busy junction 10 down to 9, the bit from Luton Airport to the A5. The A1M still very slow in patches southbound, particularly towards and past sort of Stevenage areas, passing junctions 8 and 7. Then northbound around 6 at Welling, looking rather busy. There are delays on the A5, southbound queuing towards Markyate, northbound queuing up into Hotcliffe. Plus there are delays on the M25, certainly on the anti-clockwise side, where there are queues in patches from junction 21A at St Albans around to 16 at the M40. Russell Holding, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. I've got to say, this is going to be the best podcast ever this week. Right, that's it. That's your lot from us. Oh, podcast? Yeah, you can get the last week's podcast if you go to iTunes or the BBC Three Counties website. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Justin. Do stick around, listen to JVS. I think it's going to be a corker today. I'm just feeling... I felt a little bit of feist when he came in. JVS is up next. We're back tomorrow at 6. Until then, ta-ta.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Iain. Gosh, the pressure's on now. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Monday, it's 9 o'clock. And on today's big phone-in, do you think most pensioners need the winter fuel allowance? Liberal Democrat Business Minister